Good morning. It's 5 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Bear with me today, folks. The Nashville Community Review Board is claiming that TBI raided the law firm that was hired to investigate a whistleblower complaint against Metro Police.
It's in a letter the Community Review Board is sent to the mayor looking for answers as to why and who ordered the raid. They had asked for a response by Monday night's meeting, but didn't get it. Butler Snow is the firm hired by the city to investigate allegations made in a 61-page complaint by Garrett Davidson, a former Metro Police lieutenant, that included accusations that Metro Police higher-ups helped state lawmakers come up with legislation that stripped power from police oversight boards. Ken Weaver, WTN News.
The people of Baltimore will pause today to mark 1 year since the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge, killing 6 people. Meantime, a team of researchers has issued a troubling assessment of the risks facing other structures.
The National Transportation Safety Board says part of the blame for the tragedy belongs to the state of Maryland for not performing a risk assessment decades ago. A year after the collapse, Governor Wes Moore refutes that.
The reason we're looking up and we do not see a key bridge is because of the dolly,
the cargo ship that collided with it 1 year ago. Johns Hopkins University researchers say many other bridges are at risk for a similar disaster, including the Golden Gate Bridge and the Huey P. Long Bridge in New Orleans. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
None of the bridges in Tennessee are at risk, however. Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
What started as a day of gains ended with stocks barely changed. The Dow added 4 points, the S&P gained 9, and the Nasdaq rose 83 points. Wall Street focusing on April 2nd. President Trump calls the day Liberation Day, when he's set to begin a global set of tariffs on trading partners that'll roughly equal what he sees as the burden put on the U.S. There are hopes his tariffs could become more targeted. A report Tuesday also showed consumer confidence fell more than expected, now down for 4 straight months. European sales of Tesla electric vehicles tumbled 49% in the first 2 months of the year, even as overall sales of EVs grew. There have been complaints about an aging Tesla lineup and a significant backlash against CEO Elon Musk. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Stock futures are pointing slightly lower. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
We got a vehicle fire right now with the right lane blocked. So that's I-40 westbound for Cookville, exit 290. That's in the Cookville area, of course. And looking at the downtown Nashville area, no other new accidents to report. Everything going smoothly this morning. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.506. Hello, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We are like the walking wounded around here. So Joan Jones is working on half a voice today, so a little different to this morning. And by the way, I've got all kinds of stuff to talk with you about today. Coming up, 7:05, Brian Wilson is going to join us. 7:35, Lonnie Spivak is going to be here. You know that he used to be, if I remember right, the chairman of the Nashville GOP. He is going to be with us at 7:35, going to talk about how Mayor Freddie O'Connell is thinking of raising property taxes in Nashville. That will obviously not only impact Nashville, but also is going to impact all of our surrounding counties as well. And also at 8:05, Senator Marsha Blackburn is going to be with us as well on WTN. If you're watching on Super Talk TV, thank you. You see that KGB just ran in. We are in such disarray this morning. KGB had to run in and turn on the signage behind me.
I didn't even notice it was off until we got started.
It is, Ben. Listen, and my beauty lights aren't on either. It is going to be one of those days. So we're going to be a little different today in that KGB is going to give Joan a rest on the traffic. So KGB is going to be doing the traffic. Not going to do any teases either. Little inside baseball. Joan is just going to focus on the top and bottom of the hour news. And that is the way it's going to go today. And Joan, thank you for coming in.
If only somebody would share their slippery elm with me.
Listen, first thing I said to you today was,
Yes.
If you want some slippery elm, I've got plenty.
Yeah. You were sounding like a dealer again. Yeah.
If you want some organic throat coat with some original slippery elm, I've got it for you. If you want some, you just let me know, and I'll whip up a batch of slippery elm just for you, Joan.
You're the best.
All right. And by the way, I don't think you actually sounded pretty good in that first newscast.
It's pushing it, but yeah, it's getting out there. It'll get better during the show. You watch.
Silence. Silence.
Okay.
No more speaking for you off the microphone. You just stick to the newscast. That's what we need from you today, Joan. And again, thank you for coming in. So let's get to the content, shall we? Of course, everyone talking about a couple of different things. Number one, Mike Waltz, National Security Advisor, Donald Trump, went on Laura Ingram's show last night, and he is talking about taking full responsibility for Signal Gate. Everybody, of course, spoke about that yesterday. We do have that audio for you coming up. Basically, one of the things that he said, and again, I'm going to play you the audio, but one of the things that he said is there's no one else is responsible for this but me, allowing Jeffrey Goldberg into that conversation regarding bombing the living crap out of the Houthi rebels. We're going to get to that audio coming up. But first, of course, we have to talk about Jasmine Crockett and what she said about Governor Greg Abbott in Texas. What a despicable comment, of course.
Because we in these hot-ass Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot ass mess, honey. So yes.
So for those of you who don't know, the governor of Texas has been in a wheelchair since 1984. If you don't know the story, he was out jogging and literally an oak tree fell on him, or an oak tree branch or something, but fell on him while he was jogging, and he's been in a wheelchair ever since. So, of course, you would think everyone is aghast that she would say that. Democrat Party silent on all of this. Has Hakeem Jeffries said anything about all this? House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries? No, nothing at all. Folks, this is by design, and this may be one of the worst political maneuvers a party has done since well, putting Kamala Harris at the top of the presidential race. Because that's what the Democrats are doing, right? This whole thing is by design. What the Democrats are trying to do is they're trying to win back the black vote that they lost in 2024. And this is how they're trying to do it. It is stunning. And so Republicans, of course, are horrified. But what I love, even though Hakeem Jeffries and Nancy Pelosi and all these folks on the left are silent, I do like what some in the black community are saying.
What's up, Jasmine Crockett? CJ Pearson here. On behalf of the black community, can you do me a favor? Can you shut the hell up?
That is, yes, CJ Pearson. And he is a guy who has been all over the socials. He's an influencer. He is conservative. He's been on Fox News. He's been on Newsmax. And yes, he is black. And yes, he does have a message for Jasmine Crockett.
No, seriously, I'm genuinely asking, can you shut the hell up? Because every single time you open up your mouth, you set black people back at least 10,000 steps. At least 10,000 steps. Yep. And what's so offensive about you is that the Democrat Party thinks that you are the type of person that can convince black people to do anything.
Right. I mean, one thing that I've talked about is how Crockett, you know, she sounds so street, right? She says terrible things. Her grammar is obviously a train wreck. And she just sounds, well, I'll let CJ Pearson call it out.
They trot out some ghetto Barbie who uses bad grammar, acts a little hood, gets a little ratchet, that all the black people are just going to listen to everything you say.
Well, I think I think that's to be seen. Is Jasmine Crockett connecting with the black community? I mean, clearly what dude says, CJ Pearson, what he says makes sense in that she doesn't really speak like this regularly.
Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now.
No, she doesn't talk like that usually. I mean, who can forget private school Jasmine? Where she sounds like this. It's not working. So anyway, we all know what private school Jasmine sounds like because I've played the audio many times. And here's the thing. As CJ Pearson points out, she went to a $35,000 a year private school. Then she goes on to a highfalutin college, Rhodes College. You know how much it costs to go to Rhodes College? $55,000 a year. So obviously Jasmine Crockett is playing a part. So realize again, this is not some sort of organic thing that is going on with Jasmine Crockett. This is a plan. Somewhere in Washington, D.C., all of the leadership of the Democrat Party, maybe even George Soros was there. But somehow they all thought that this is the way to win back the black vote that they lost to Donald Trump. Do you know how Donald Trump doubled his black support in 2024? By not pandering. That is how Donald Trump doubled his vote in 2024 among the black community. By not pandering like the Democrats are doing right now with Jasmine Crockett. About 3 in 10 black men under the age of 45 voted for Donald Trump. That was a huge jump in the last election. And so from 2020 to 2024, President Trump did double that support. And that was a big part of Donald Trump's victory. And so for the Democrats, this is the plan.
Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now.
The Democrats actually believe this is the way to reach the black voters. And that's amazing. Because I don't believe that anyone with any modicum of intelligence would believe that this is the way to connect with black voters. And yeah, I do believe that it's racist. You know what? Hey, KGB, it's been a train wreck of a morning, folks. So we were talking about what our what our poll could be today, and we finally punted because we couldn't think of a poll today. But why don't we have the poll? Do you believe that Jasmine Crockett is the Democrats' plan to regain the black support they lost? If you can somehow figure out how to make that make sense. But I think that is a great poll. Or do we just have the poll be, you know what, do you think Jasmine Crockett is an organic, cultural, and political phenomenon? Or is this all a plan? Or we could just say, do you think that Jasmine Crockett is good or bad for the Democrat Party? Any one of those, I think, would be very good. Okay, so it is 5:15, so knock yourself out. 5:15 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Right now, that fire that was on I-40 westbound in Cookeville has been cleared up. Right now, no other new accidents to report, and everything in the downtown area looks pretty smooth. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, very good. Thank you. As far as your weather today, it's going to be a high of 67 and sunny. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So, yeah, I do believe that it is racist for the Democrat Party to trot out Jasmine Crockett as a way for them to connect with the black supporters that they lost. The funny thing is, and this is how, just dense the Democrat Party is right now, is that this kind of pandering is exactly the reason why they lost that black support in the first place. Donald Trump, he had the results from his first administration. And number two, we had the really poor results of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. And so they gravitated towards Donald Trump in 2024. And here's the other thing. Kamala Harris, there were times when she sounded just like this.
Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now.
And everybody knew that wasn't how Kamala Harris would typically speak. And so C.J. Pearson, back to C.J. Pearson, he absolutely calls this what it is. It is racist.
And I gotta say, I knew the Democrats were pretty damn racist, being the party of the KKK and all, but I didn't know that they were this racist. I didn't. They truly had me fooled.
So I love, and he's absolutely right. So I do love what Greg Abbott said in response. He was on Sean Hannity's show last night.
This is another day and another disaster by the Democrats.
Yep.
The reality is they have no vision, no policy. They have nothing to sell but hate. And Americans are not buying it. It's one reason why Texas is going to remain red and why Republicans are going to continue to win elections across the country.
Absolutely right. And the other thing that he said, and he's absolutely right, is that Texas is leading the country in a number of different categories. And the bottom line is Texas is doing really, really good under Republican leadership. And so for her to talk about, number one, Governor Hot Wheels, number two, Texas is a hot mess. Texas is not a hot mess. Texas, under Republican leadership, just like Florida under Republican leadership, just like Tennessee under Republican leadership, and all of these other Republican-led states, we're doing really well. The hot mess is on the other side. Jasmine Crockett, the hot mess is California. The hot mess is Colorado. The hot mess is New York. The hot mess is Massachusetts and other Democrat-run sanctuary city states. You want a hot mess, Jasmine Crockett? Look in the mirror. You and your party is the hot mess. And here's the other thing. Follow me on X at Dan Mandis Show. You know that also, and I don't know if this happened yesterday or the day before yesterday, but she's walking around the hallways of Congress and a reporter is a respectful distance away and is asking her if she would like to clarify her calls for violence against Tesla, and she shoves the camera.
Be here, right?
Would you like to clarify your comments?
Good luck. As you can see.
Congressman, will you condone violence at the Tesla?
And she shoves the camera. People are, of course, saying that is assault. And by the way, if you go and I do believe it is assault, but whatever. But do you know who was walking next to Jasmine Crockett in that moment? If you go and you watch the video, you might be surprised at who was walking next to Jasmine Crockett at the time that she assaults a reporter. In case you don't know, it is Congressman Tim Burchett. Listen again very closely.
Here, right?
Would you like to clarify your comments?
Good luck. As you can see.
Congressman, will you condone violence at the test?
And there you go. So Tim Burchett, once again, just in the midst of chaos in Washington, D.C. And I've got some thoughts on Tim Burchett apparently being rather friendly with Jasmine Crockett. I'm going to talk about that and a whole lot more straight ahead. It is 5:21 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Is someone in your intel team trying to cause trouble here? Because
525, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So, people are just joining us, so I'm going to play this audio one more time of Jasmine Crockett as she shoves a cameraman, assaults a cameraman in the middle of the hallowed hallways of Congress.
Here, right? Would you like to clarify your comments?
Good luck. As you can see.
Congressman, will you condone violence at the test?
Yeah, she literally pushed him. You can see it on my X feed at Dan Mandis Show. Now, here's the question. She was walking next to Tim Burchett, who I guess as we're watching the video, he kind of gives her a friendly, tap on the shoulder. He was wishing her good luck on something. I don't know. But I remember a while ago where the congressman, who I like a lot, you folks know my affection for Tim Burchett, not only because he is a fantastic politician, but also just because he is overall a very good guy and, in my opinion, an outstanding conservative. But I remember a while ago, I was interviewing the congressman, and he said that he was friends with AOC. And oh, my Lord, heads just exploded on the super text line. Oh, my gosh. Are you kidding? How can Tim Burchett be friends with AOC, people said. And I thought, well, he's rising above politics. He's rising above all of the noise. And if he wants to be friendly with AOC, well, that's certainly his right. Well, apparently he's also friendly with Jasmine Crockett, this vile, horrendous, racist, insulting congressman from Dallas. And so I can only imagine what the response of some people will be when you see the video on X at Dan Mandis Show, where he is very friendly with her and even wishing her luck for something. And I would hate for any kind of a friendship with Jasmine Crockett to hurt Tim Burchett politically. Will it? I don't know. But to me, number one, some people perhaps will take offense to him being friendly with Jasmine Crockett. But you could also say, just like with AOC, he is able to rise above the politics and be friendly with people from the other side. Here's my thing, and I've said this for, weeks, months now, as it relates to Jasmine Crockett. Bring it. If this is the Democrats' plan, then bring it, because, yes, it will be good for the Republicans. And so my message to Tim Burchett, sometimes people will say, you are the company that you keep. But if you're friendly with Jasmine Crockett, I would ask you to let her know, keep bringing it. Keep bringing the racist, pandering nonsense, because that is how you lost the election in 2024. So my message to my good friend Tim Burchett is that if you're friendly with her, encourage her. Tell her to keep it up. Keep doing what you're doing. And we'll have J.D. Vance in the White House after Donald Trump for another 8 years. Keep it up, Democrats, and thank you to Jasmine Crockett. It is 5:30, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's 5:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. This is the day the state legislature will debate and vote on a bill that allows schools to turn away children who are in the country illegally. Protests are expected. Channel 4's Alexandria Adams on that.
So why is this bill so controversial? It's because in 1982, the U.S. Supreme Court said that states cannot deny undocumented children access to free public education. Now, the House GOP wants to challenge that law. They're saying it would help districts save some money.
save some money, and help overburdened teachers. The vote is scheduled for 4:30 this afternoon. Got an update now on a house fire in Goodlettsville that we reported on yesterday. A woman escaped the flames, but it appeared to be that she was in shock when she showed up in this neighbor's driveway.
I was worried about her because, she's on my driveway. She doesn't know where she is, who she is. Just let's take in.
That woman speaking to Channel 4. Investigators now say the bodies of 7 dogs that were found dead in their crates under that home's carport were too decomposed to determine how they died. Charges may be pending in that case. Looks like you can scratch Congressman Tim Burchett off your dance card for a potential candidate for governor. He spoke with Matt Murphy about it yesterday.
I pray about it. I'm a Christian. I'm not a very good one, obviously, because of my chosen profession. But I honestly don't think God's leading me in the direction of Nashville.
He did hint, though, that he would gladly fill Marsha Blackburn's Senate seat if she were to run for governor. So far, Congressman John Rose is the only one who has declared for the governor's race. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Got a crash on I-40 westbound past McCory Lane, exit 192. Looking elsewhere in the downtown Nashville area. Looks like everything is still open. No signs of traffic whatsoever. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
536, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 89.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. How are you? All right, so I just posted, reposted a video that Aaron sent to me. This is so ridiculous. So you got this guy who's got a mini four-wheeler, and he is slamming it into a Cybertruck. And this is the mentality of the left. This is the mentality of people who are so anti-Elon, anti-Tesla, blah, 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 right? So the person posting this says, little did he know that the Cybertruck has 1.8 millimeter bulletproof stainless steel doors, capable of taking some heavy hits. He's also on camera. Because I guess the Cybertrucks, and I believe this has been well documented, they got cameras like all over them. And so this dude is taking his little mini four-wheeler, and he's going back and forth, slamming this Cybertruck. And I don't believe that it caused any kind of damage whatsoever. They say he was charged with 1 count of felony criminal mischief and failure to identify. So there you go. That is the mentality of the left. Now, what did we, as far as our daily Dan poll today, by the way, watch us on YouTube, and you can basically watch us anywhere. You can watch us on Facebook, 99.7, WTN.com. You can watch us on YouTube. That is my preferred method. And you can stream us literally anywhere. What is our Daily Dan poll? Where did we land, KGB, on the Daily Dan poll, and where are we on the results thus far?
Yeah, so we're at, is it racist that the Democrats think Jasmine Crockett is the way to the black vote?
Yep.
Yes or no? 91% say yes, it is racist.
Okay, there you go. Another great poll where everybody agrees that it is indeed racist for Jasmine Crockett.
My first idea wasn't any better. It was 85% for my idea before.
Okay.
So,
well, you know what? Here's the thing, is that sometimes all of us conservatives, because let's be honest, majority of us, I mean, talking on WTN are conservative, and a lot of you folks listening are conservative. There are the hate listeners, and we appreciate you too.
Oh, they're great. They're the most fun to talk to.
They are, aren't they? Oh, you're being serious.
Oh, yeah, I love messing with them.
Yeah, they are kind of fun to mess with
Hey,
sometimes.
when you have to get up this early, you got to entertain yourself a little bit.
That's exactly right, KGB. By the way, in case you're wondering, if you're just tuning in, Joan Jones, I have delivered now some slippery elm to Joan Jones. I walked in after her last newscast, and because Joan, she's a trooper. She came in, she's on like, half a larynx, right? She got half a voice. But she came in, and she can only do the news. KGB's doing traffic, and she's not providing any additional color commentary because she's got to preserve her voice, and so she's going to try to make it through the morning. All right. So let's talk very quickly about Signalgate, because the Democrats are still talking about this. They're still trying to make a very big deal about this. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, he appeared on Laura Ingram's show last night to talk about exactly what happened. And it does sound like, there is... What's that? What's that, Joan? Oh, I believe she hit the wrong button.
I hit the wrong button.
Okay.
You're right.
Very good. But anyway, so Mike Waltz was on Laura Ingram, and he's talking about all this. There probably is a little bit of damage control going on, but I really don't think that this is much of a big deal.
So they want to focus on this. It's embarrassing, yes. We're going to get to the bottom of it. I just talked to Elon on the way here. We've got the best technical minds looking at how this happened. But I can tell you for 100%, I don't know this guy. I know him by his horrible reputation, and he really is the bottom scum of journalists.
Yeah, he's talking about Goldberg. This guy writing for The Atlantic, and Jeffrey Goldberg. And he has been, as Mike Waltz tells Laura Ingram, and you no doubt know by now, this guy was diving into or creating a lot of these Trump-related hoaxes, whether it was, good people on both sides, and I know we've all talked about this, but good people on both sides, You can talk about Russia collusion, dead military veterans were suckers and losers. He invented that one. And so, as I said yesterday, of all people, Jeffrey Goldberg from The Atlantic somehow ends up on this Signal group text message. And how in the world did that happen? Well, he's going to get to that. But, you know, he didn't have anything good to say about Jeffrey Goldberg to Laura Ingraham.
And I know him in the sense that he hates the president, but I don't text him. He wasn't on my phone. And we're going to figure out how this happened.
So you don't know what staffer is responsible for this right now?
Well, look, a staffer wasn't responsible, and look, I take full responsibility. I built the group. My job is to make sure everything's coordinated.
But how did the
execute?
number? I mean, I don't mean to be pedantic here, but how did the number?
Have you ever had somebody's contact that shows their name, and then you have somebody else's number there?
I never make those mistakes.
Right? You got somebody else's number on someone else's contact. So of course I didn't see this loser in the group. It looked like someone else. Now whether he did it deliberately or it happened in some other technical mean is something we're trying to figure out.
There you go. And he's right. And when you talk about, of all people, Jeffrey Goldberg, there's a lot of conspiracies out there. There are. Because this guy, of all the people in the media, you know, outside of Jim Acosta, this guy from the print journalism standpoint is just as rabid, if not worse, than Jim Acosta from CNN. And so Laura Ingraham asked, okay, so what about these conspiracy theories? Is it possible that the staffers that put this whole thing together did this on purpose?
Is someone in your intel? Is someone in your intel team trying to cause trouble here? Because that's the scuttlebutt out there.
Look,
that
we have people. We have people. No, look, this is a great group. The president has a great team. This is not first term.
No, your team. I'm not talking about the other principals.
No. These were principals and a couple of staff that were coordinating, as you saw, having a policy discussion as we went forward, and then just in the days before, what was an incredible strike. Not only did we take out people that the Biden team never could, that we took out headquarters, missile caches, and actually one of the leaders of the Houthi organization, we've since taken out several since. And, you know, that's what they don't want to talk about. They don't want to talk about the success here. They don't want to talk about the hostages getting released.
Right. And that's exactly right. And Waltz, he came through with, I think, probably 5 or 10 different things that that the Trump administration has done just in the past couple of weeks. Now, I love what Donald Trump had to say about this whole thing. And I've got that audio coming up next. It is 5:45. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Right now, we still have that crash on I-40 westbound past McCory Lane, exit 192. It looks like the ramp from 24 onto 40 has picked up a little bit of steam, but otherwise, everything looks smooth sailing around the downtown area. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you very much. 5:45, Nashville's Morning News. As far as your weather for today, a high of 67 and sunny. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So talking about this controversy, some would call it a non-controversy, but the question is, how did Jeffrey Goldberg end up in that group text message that everybody is talking about? And I think part of what's going on is the fact that for Trump, after 2 months, is this the worst thing that's happened? Yeah. And if this is the worst thing that's happened, I think we're doing pretty good. Now, this is what Donald Trump said when he was asked about this yesterday. And he actually showed, and I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but he actually showed a pretty good sense of humor about this whole thing.
He's a very good man, and he will continue to do a good job. In addition to him, we had very good people in that meeting, and those people have done a very, very effective job, and you're going to see it.
Do you think that Mike Waltz made a mistake, and does he need to apologize?
No, I don't think he should apologize. I think he's doing his best. It's equipment and technology that's not perfect, and probably he won't be using it again, at least not in the very near future. What do you think?
That's sir. I agree with you. Let's get everybody in the room whenever possible.
Waltz said they are.
Yep. And so that is Donald Trump commenting on what happened with National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. And part of what he said, and this does make a lot of sense, and you folks know this is true, is that the Trump administration, they are traveling at what he calls Trump speed. And what that means is, I mean, he is signing executive order after executive order every single day. From what I understand, and I'm going to talk about this here in a little bit, from what I understand, there could be an executive order coming today on sanctuary cities. And so when Mike Waltz is talking about, moving at Trump speed, well, that's what he means, because there is executive orders after executive orders. President Trump, I guess yesterday he signed an executive order on election integrity. I mean, that's huge. So here's what he did. I guess this was yesterday during his cabinet meeting. I totally missed this one because, again, remember, Trump moves at what they're calling now Trump speed. This is part of that audio from the cabinet meeting.
Lastly, sir, we have an executive order for your attention on the very important subject of election integrity. We believe that this executive order is the farthest reaching executive action taken in the history of the Republic to secure our elections. Among numerous other aspects of this executive order, this is going to cut down on illegal immigrants on the voter rolls, ensure that the Department of Homeland Security and the data that they have available is being fully weaponized to ensure that illegal immigrants aren't voting. This will include a citizenship question on the federal voting form for the first time. This executive order instructs the EAC to cut federal funding to states that don't take reasonable steps to secure their election. This calls on the Department of Justice to vigorously prosecute election crimes.
I mean, I love everything that I am hearing. Do you know, after 2020, I'm actually surprised this wasn't on day one. But I do like this. And just to reiterate some of the things that that they announced. This executive order, and this is going to be challenged in court because literally everything is being challenged in court. But as you just heard, part of what they're going to do, cut funding to states that do not secure elections, requires proof of U.S. citizenship on voter registration forms, vigorously prosecute election crimes. And I love that because there are people that will try to steal elections. They'll try to do whatever they can, to steal someone's identity, to vote more than once. I mean, I could go on. But those people need to be charged to the fullest extent of the law. And if the fullest extent of the law isn't harsh enough, then they've got to raise those penalties. Requires proof of U.S. citizenship on voter registration forms. Take action against states who count ballots received after Election Day in federal elections. Prosecute foreign interference in elections. And it's going to revoke the Biden executive order that turned federal agencies into Democrat voter turnout centers. And I agree with the libs of TikTok. Anyone who is against election integrity means that they want to cheat. And my friends, that is absolutely true. So kudos to President Trump. And when they talk about moving at Trump speed, that's exactly what we mean. Every day, it's another executive order. Every day, it's another promise kept. Every day, we are seeing results. And every day, the Democrats continue to flounder. And that is why they are so incredibly focused on Signalgate. When the reality is this was a snafu, this was something that happened, not a big deal. And I love how, should Mike Waltz apologize? For what? Yeah, he made a mistake and they're trying to figure out exactly what happened. And I don't know how closely you listened to that. Maybe I'll play it again here in a little bit. But he kind of leaned into that conspiracy theory where it's like, okay, so how did this guy, how was he in your phone? How exactly did this happen? And while he does take responsibility because it was one of his staffers that apparently put this together, the question is, how exactly did Jeffrey Goldberg, a Trump hater with Atlantic Magazine, the editor of Atlantic Magazine, how did he end up in this very important text thread? Inquiring minds want to know. It is 5:52 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Oh, snap. 5:57, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You guys know Harry Enton, right? He's the guy over at CNN, and he seems to be almost like the polling version, at times, the polling version of Scott Jennings over on CNN. So he has a report, and he's talking about how Donald Trump, because everybody's always talking about how unpopular, and I'm air quoting this, how unpopular Donald Trump is. And he comes in and he just throws cold water on CNN and NBC and a lot of these other places that perpetually talk about how unpopular of a president Donald Trump is.
I think sometimes it's important to do a little bit of reality check and take a little different spin at the numbers. I'm going to do that right here because all we talk about is how unpopular Donald Trump is. But in reality, he's basically more popular than he was at any point in term number one and more popular than he was when he won election back in November of 2024. What are we talking about? His net favorable rating right now comes in at -4 points. Compare that to where he was when he won in November of 2024 when he was at -7 points, or March of 2017 when he was at -10 points.
Now, okay, so I'm gonna explain it to you again because he does talk very fast. He's excited like I am. March of 2017, his favorability, his net favorability was at -10. November of 2024, when he won, he was at -7. Right now, his net favorability is -4. In other words, as the Democrats, since Donald Trump won, as the Democrats have been executing lawfare against everything that the president wants to do, that the American people called on him to do, and you've got all of these nasty accusations against not only Donald Trump, but also people in his administration. You've got Elon Musk and Doge. You've got everything going on, of course, on the southern border. You've got the tariff talk and all of the hand-wringing of the Democrats. Oh, my God, tariffs. We're all going to be selling pencils on street corners. The reality is, according to Harry Enton at CNN, at this moment in time, as the Democrats like to say, in this moment, the Democrats are not only sucking wind, but they suck. And everybody understands that. Meantime, Donald Trump is getting more and more popular with each and every executive order. I love this. I've got more on this and a whole lot more straight ahead. It is 6 o'clock, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, good morning. It is 6 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. The Trump administration and Doge has put public broadcasting in the crosshairs.
At NPR set to appear before the House Doge subcommittee today in a hearing on federal funding for public broadcasters. Committee Chair Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene accusing the public media outlets of liberal bias and has titled the hearing Anti-American Airwaves Holding the Heads of NPR and PBS Accountable. This coming after a federal judge temporarily blocked the Trump administration from shutting down Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, finding the attempt to defund the group likely violated federal law. Dave Packer, ABC News.
Locally, the push to legalize pot in Tennessee gets the legislative treatment today. That bill would legalize marijuana for anyone 21 years and older, and the 15% tax from the sale of pot would go to pay for repairing roads and bridges. The House Criminal Justice Subcommittee holds the first hearing on that proposed legislation today. Channel 4's Stacey Cameron, covering the General Assembly, says bills enhancing school safety advanced yesterday, but action on a controversial immigration-related education bill was delayed.
Controversial bill is the one that would let local public schools choose whether to kick out undocumented students or charge them tuition. The Senate Finance Committee pushed its vote on that bill back a week. That kept protesters away and let lawmakers focus on a long list of educated-related bills. Two of those dealt with school safety, and both passed easily through the House Education Committee. The first bill gives schools 48 hours to alert parents of a safety threat against their child's school if that threat was also reported to police. The second bill, it requires schools now being built or remodeled to use an entry-resistant film on doors and windows that meet a higher national safety standard.
Now, the full House Education Committee is scheduled to vote on that illegal immigrant student bill at 4:30 today. Country Music Hall of Famer Vince Gill had the honor yesterday of announcing new inductees.
Their artistry has not only defined country music for audiences worldwide, but it's also inspired future generations, paving the way for those who follow in their footsteps.
They are Tony Brown, June Carter Cash, and Kenny Chesney. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Stock futures all pointing slightly lower this morning. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
All right, a couple new actions to report. One, I-24 eastbound at New Hope Road, that's exit 31, and another one on I-65 southbound at Trinity Lane, exit 87, that's correct. That has the right shoulder blocked. And the one on I-24 eastbound, that has the right entrance lane blocked, so be wary of those. That 24 onto 40 has picked up more steam now. It's a little bit of a stop and go, but nothing too much. 65 north and south, though, are wide open. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.606, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on in to your Wednesday, March 26th of 2025. CNN, of course, leading with the big group chat debacle. And yesterday, I've got some great audio on the hearings from yesterday. The outrage, I'm going to call it faux outrage of the Democrats. They are really, really trying hard to make this into a thing. And I do understand. I wish that it hadn't have happened. I played some audio from Mike Waltz in the last hour, and maybe we'll get into some of the other particulars. But the bottom line is Waltz has taken responsibility for it. Congress and Senate, we're going to speak with the Senator Marsha Blackburn coming up at 8:05 this morning. And this is one of many questions that I have for the senator, is her reaction to all of this. And I've got to tell you that, at least to me, the Democrats are trying to make a lot of hay out of really nothing. Pete Hegseth, of course, as you know, yesterday he said nobody was texting war plans. We won't really know. We said yesterday that Jeffrey Goldberg, he swears up and down that there were war plans being texted. So the question is, as we said yesterday, does he have those receipts? And number two, how did Goldberg end up in that group chat anyway? And that's what everybody wants to know, and that is what the Trump administration is trying to figure out. By the way, just as we talk about all things Donald Trump, just very quickly, Trump has now ordered the Department of Homeland Security and DOJ to review state voter rolls. Now, remember, not yesterday, in the last hour, we were talking about how Trump has now signed an executive order to try to bring us to a point where we have election integrity. I don't believe that right now we have pure election integrity. I think that there's a lot of states that have a lot of issues, and so Trump is doing what he needs to do to get us on the right track. By the way, I thought it was interesting, and I'm going to play some more of this audio because I think that it's great audio. And it is Harry Enton over on CNN, and he's talking about how good Donald Trump is doing compared to Donald Trump. Not only is the current president more popular than he was back in 2017, where he had a -10 favorable rating. When he was elected, he had a -7 net favorable rating. Well, now he's at a -4. And Harry Enton was on CNN talking about how it may sound bad, but it's really not, especially when you compare it to how the American people feel about the track the country is on. Because remember one thing we've always known about Donald Trump, and this was true in the first election, I believe this was true in the last election as well, and that is that Trump's support has always been underrated. They've always, the numbers are not near what his support actually is. And we've seen that time and time again. The polling is never really correct with Donald Trump. It's getting better, but the polling isn't always accurate. Because we're still, in these times, the American people still, some people are embarrassed or ashamed of their support of Donald Trump. And so Harry Enton and the CNN anchor were talking about just this, because the numbers are more than likely, as far as Donald Trump support goes here in America, the numbers more than likely are better than what we're seeing.
So when you look at this compared to sort of historically, what does it tell you about the percentage of folks that think the country itself, with him at the helm, is on the right track?
This, I think, is rather important because, again, if the polls have historically underestimated Donald Trump, what is a metric that might get at understanding at how popular he may actually be? So let's take a look at the percentage of the country who say that we're on the right track. It's actually a very high percentage when you compare it to some historical numbers. What are we talking about? According to Marist, 45% say that we're on the right track. That's the second highest that Marist has measured since 2009. How about NBC News? 44%. That's the highest since 2004.
All right, so, again, Harry Enton, very excited. 45% of Americans believe that we are indeed on the right track, and that is the second best since, 2009? And NBC, highest since 2004. So, you'll see some headlines out there that will say, well, the majority of Americans feel like we're on the wrong track. Well, here's the deal. That's true with almost every single poll. But for Donald Trump, as you just heard Harry Enton say, these numbers are actually really, really good when you compare it to years past.
The bottom line is the percentage of Americans who say we're on the right track is through the roof. And if you were to compare it to when presidents have historically been reelected, of course, Trump is not constitutionally eligible to run for reelection, but I think it sort of puts it in perspective. 42% of the country says the country is on the right track when the incumbent party is reelected. And also keep in mind, back when Kamala Harris lost and the Democrats were turned out of power, only about 27 to 28% of the country said the country was on the right track. The bottom line is right now, a much higher percentage of the country says we're on the right track. And finally, Sarah Seidner, I want to put it all in the congressional generic ballot.
What about Congress?
What about Congress? Because those are the folks who are up in 2026. And take a look here. The Dems versus the Republicans on the generic congressional ballot. Back in November of 2020, when Democrats won, it was +5 Democrats. Tied in November of 2022, +1 in November of 2024 when Republicans maintain control. And then you look at March of 2025. This number looks a lot more like 2022 or 2024 when Republicans won control of Congress. The bottom line is, yes, Donald Trump's approval rating is lower than compared to a lot of his predecessors, but it's higher when compared to himself. A lot of folks say the country's on the right track, and the generic congressional ballot looks a heck of a lot more like when Republicans win than when Democrats win.
I want to drink whatever Harry Enton drinks in the morning. Good Lord, he's got energy. And his numbers, I love his numbers. And the thing that I like about Harry Enton, then I'm going to move on. But the thing that I like about him is he totally calls balls and strikes. And so in another 2 months, the numbers may look completely different. And he'll have a lot of credibility because, at least to me, being a guy that is on CNN, Harry Enton, I don't see a lot of bias in what he's doing. And that's got to really anger the folks over there who work at CNN, who still work at CNN. But one of the things that as your liberal friends will start screaming about DOGE and start screaming about, tariffs and all this other kind of stuff is that, and I don't know if you picked up on that line, but Harry said that when Biden and Harris were swept out of office back in November of 2024, only 27% of the American people felt like we were on the right track. And now it's in the mid-40s. 44, 45% feel like we're on the right track. And again, Donald Trump, when you compare Trump to himself, he is way up there as far as his favorability rating or his net favorability rating, whatever. And the biggest thing, at least to me, is that when you start looking at what's going to happen in the midterms of 2026, we are looking good in the midterms for 2026. That's number one. Number two, we've got somebody, who is in the ranks for the Democrats, not to, beat this dead horse again, but who is in the ranks for the Democrats as far as the superstars in the Democrat Party? Jasmine Crockett? She's the one everybody's talking about.
Bernie and AOC are campaigning together, it looks like.
Bernie and AOC are campaigning together. Do you know who, I just saw this, do you know who the most popular Democrat is right now? And I'm going to air quote that. Bernie flippin' Sanders. Bernie Sanders, the polling was done. Apparently he is the most popular Democrat right now. And of course he's a socialist, but whatever. So here's the thing. AOC, clearly a rising star. Will she go after Chuck Schumer's Senate seat when the time comes? I think 2028. Who knows? But who's getting all of the earned media right now? It's Jasmine Crockett. By saying some of the most horrific and reprehensible things, and she's still trying to recover from the controversy about what she said about Governor Abbott. So there's a lot of good things going on right now. And see, that's why CNN is so hyper-focused on Textgate. Because it's all they have. It's the only thing that they can do to try to knock Donald Trump off of the very high rating that he's at. His polling is very good. Some people will say, well, it's still in the negative. Here's the thing. 92%, if I remember right. Is it 92 or 97%? I don't know. Very high number of Republicans still agree that Donald Trump is doing a great job. J.D. Vance and Donald Trump, they are obviously two peas in a pod. So if you are pro-Donald Trump, then more than likely you are pro-J.D. Vance. And if you don't like J.D. Vance, well, we got Marco Rubio. We do still have Ron DeSantis. We've got any number of Republicans on our bench heading into the next presidential election. And again, who do the Democrats have? The one getting all the attention right now is Jasmine Crockett, and I don't believe that's the attention that is going to be good for the Democrats long term. 6:17, little late, time to check the roads on WTN. .617, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News. As far as your weather goes, high of 67 today and sunny. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. We just had some fun talking about the popularity of Donald Trump and how everybody believes that America is on the right track. I want to play some audio for you. Can I just ask, when people are so wrong, can I just ask this question? When people are so wrong so many times, why do they still get a voice? Why do, for example, the Democrats still ask James Carville, of all people, what his political opinion is? I mean, this guy, and I'm not talking about his age, he doesn't make a lot of sense. And it was 31 days ago. Now realize, I just played you audio of how from CNN, where Donald Trump, his numbers are improving by the executive order. His numbers are improving by the day. And the Democrats, their numbers are tanking by the day. So James Carville, I just want to remind you, 31 days ago, he made the bold claim that Donald Trump's administration will suffer a massive collapse in less than 30 days. Today, Donald Trump's polling, as I just mentioned to you, is at the highest level ever. Democrats are at record lows. Ladies and gentlemen, James Carville.
And so, Dan, this is what I believe. I believe that this administration, in less than 30 days, in the midst of a massive collapse, and particularly a collapse in public opinion. Della Volpe at Harvard, who's very good. I used to think, once I saw a Harvard youth poll, I discounted it. I've come to say it's a pretty damn good poll.
Sure.
Pretty good guy.
Right.
He's gone from 53 approval to under 30 to 39. That's a collapse. And all we need to do, the analogy I use, is Pickett is 500 yards from the stone wall. Hold your fire. It's going to be easy pickings here in 6 weeks.
Yeah, really not. Really not. So that is James Carville's bold prediction. How's that working out for you? It is 6:20 on Nashville's Morning News. By the way, the Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. I do need to mention yet again, I know Joan sounds terrible. I have given her, if you're paying attention, Joan, to the Super Text line, people are showing their concern. You showed up today with half a voice, and we appreciate it. So KGB is covering the traffic duty, and appreciate that. And along with the random traffic voice we, for whatever reason, also use. And also...
And you shared your slippery elm with me, so that was so nice.
I shared my slippery elm. I'm spreading...
It was like pulling teeth, though. She had to beg for that.
I'm spreading my slippery elm all over the place. And so, Joan, I hope that you feel better. And again, you're a big trooper for coming in. So we are foregoing the tease, and we will return next. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 621, Nashville's Morning News. The spring season is upon us, and right now is the time to start thinking about your outdoor lawn equipment. DT McCall's is helping you out with their Spring Cub Cadet Mower Sale. It is happening this week through March 29th at their Lebanon location. In Lafayette, April 4th through the 12th, and in Cookeville from the dates of April 18th through April 26th. That is their annual Spring Cub Cadet Mower Sale. So if you need a lawnmower, you've got to go over to DT McCall's and get one for a great price. You know, they've got all kinds of different sizes. DT McCall and Sons, they are ranked as a top Cub Cadet dealer in the United States. And when you purchase a Cub Cadet mower from DT McCall's, you'll also be getting access to their in-house service department. It is nearly impossible to find a mower service anywhere else. DT McCall's, they've got mowers at a great price. And yes, you can get them serviced at DT McCall's as well. With a large selection of Cub Cadet mowers, free delivery, and an in-house service department, this is an easy choice. Find more information at dtmccalls.com. Hey, it's Dan Mandis. Can you take the power of your home internet almost anywhere? Now with Xfinity, you can. Do more of what you love in the places you go the most with internet and mobile together. That's right. Now, Xfinity has built a network that is 99.99% reliable. Plus, Xfinity Mobile has Wi-Fi Power Boost, giving you ultra-fast Wi-Fi at home and on the go. You can get the same reliable network in the places you need it most, like at the coffee shop, in line at the grocery store, maybe at the game, all to power more of what you love, whether you're a gamer, streaming, or you're working from home. Whatever you're into, you'll love how fast you can do it with Xfinity Internet and mobile together. And right now, a great deal through April 17th. Get 300 megabit Xfinity Internet and one unlimited mobile line together for $30 a month for 1 year with no annual contract, and save $1,000 in that first year over Verizon and AT&T. Plus, ask us how to get a free premium 5G phone. Find them online, Xfinity.com. Call 1-800-XFINITY or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary. Savings compared to Verizon 5G Internet Plus, one unlimited welcome line, and AT&T Internet 300 Plus, one unlimited starter SL line. Xfinity Internet required. Reduced speeds after 30 gigabits of usage per line. Data thresholds and actual savings vary. .628, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, look, everybody, it's Murphy's show. Actually awake at 6:27 in the morning, and he's all dressed up.
Security.
I just wanted to come in and tell Dan that I thought it was the best 5 o'clock hour that I've heard you do in months, if not years.
Because you're never awake at 5 o'clock.
Well, no. Good gracious. Who is? My goodness. Oh, the working folk.
I am. I'm awake at 5.
Dan asked me this morning. Dan said this morning, I said, are you doing okay? He said, no, I'm going crazy. Murphy, I got it. He said this very, very seriously. He said, Murphy, I was up at 2:30 this morning. And there was a pause, and I said, what is that, early? Is that late? I'm not really sure.
I woke up at 2. I haven't mentioned this, but I woke up at 2:32 this morning, and I usually wake up at midnight. So I'm basically going on very little prep and a lot of sleep.
You sound great.
Do you know what the thing is?
I love how you embedded a humble brag into the 2:30 thing. Hey, listen to this. Listen to this.
So I've got the new iPhone 16.
Ooh. And a new Mama got you a new case, too. Isn't that nice?
She did. It looks it looks like a baseball glove.
Oh, that's sweet. She knew you'd drop it.
She knows me very well.
Yeah.
Do you know what she did, though? Here's what happened. Do you know who is to blame for me oversleeping? Amy. And I'm going to tell you, I love you, dear. Do you know why?
I would have gone Tim Cook, but go ahead. Go ahead.
You're going to have to go a little late for the news. So she was looking at my phone and looking at the alarm, and I have 3 separate alarm clocks that say 12:06, 12:18, and 12:22, right? So 3 different alarm clocks.
So you actually get up at 12:22. That's what you're telling me.
Well, it depends. So anyway, and she says, why do you do that? Why don't you just, and she showed me some other thing on the phone, but in doing so, she turned off my alarms.
That must have been serious.
She turned off my alarms.
I'm like, how dare she?
So what she was saying, why don't you just, instead of doing it, like this, why don't you just do it this other way where you can have a, you can set it one Monday through Friday, one time, and then you can have snoozes, whatever. And I said, I don't like to do that. I like to do it the other way. Well, she never turned my alarms back on, so I overslept today.
Yay, let's blame Amy.
Yeah. I walked in today, and he was like, Jeff, come in here. I overslept. We got to do this. You started panicking. Like, I walked in 2 seconds in.
He also told you were going late for the news, but you played the music anyway.
You sure did. All right, you got to pause that because he's doing something really good. Joan will get to you. Joan, keep your newscast short.
Yeah.
Joan and her voice. I feel so bad. I went in and gave her a hug. And she said, you probably don't want to do that. I was like, no, I guess that makes sense.
So very quickly, you've got a big thing that you're going to this morning, the Men of Valor Breakfast.
Yeah, it's a big annual breakfast to the Music City Center for Men of Valor from 7 to 8:30. And we invited a lot of listeners. So we've got several WTN listeners that are coming to be a part of our table, which we're very excited about. It's just a wonderful honor to be a part of the event. And we thank you all for supporting Men of Valor, movministry.com. But it's probably, I think, between somewhere in the neighborhood of 16 to 1,800 people.
Nice.
Gather at the Music City Center in the huge upper room to celebrate the blessings of Jesus Christ, the blessings of God, and Men of Valor as an organization that bring men to God and, by extension, keep them out of our prison systems.
Absolutely. All right. Well, tell everybody I said hey.
I will.
And
I'll tell Governor Bill Lee you said hey.
You
he asks about you every time I see him. Every time I see him at the governor's mansion.
Why does he keep calling my office
Dan
for
come
interviews? Hasn't he gotten the hint that we don't want to talk to him? I'm just kidding. He was on a month ago. First time in 2 years. Moving right along. Joan Jones is in the newsroom on WTN.
.631 now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. President Trump signed an executive order requiring anyone wishing to vote in the U.S. to provide government-issued proof of U.S. citizenship on registration forms. The pushback was immediate.
Undermine our elections, but really this is just the latest example of a series of executive actions that this administration has taken to undermine free and fair elections in our country, and I think it's something people should be really, truly concerned about.
That is Sean Morales-Doyle of the Brennan Center. This executive order requires states to comply in order to receive federal funds for elections. A daycare licensing bill passed the State House unanimously yesterday. Here's Channel 4's Alexandria Adams.
It allows people who care for less than 5 children in a short period of time not to have to register as a daycare. It's a part of an effort by Governor Bill Lee to make childcare more accessible and affordable here in the state. Governor Lee is saying that he has plans to sign this legislation into law once it lands on his desk.
It's been more than a month since Governor Lee signed a school voucher bill that passed the state legislature. So what impact will it have on Nashville? Well, here's Mayor Freddie O'Connell speaking to Channel 4 yesterday.
We don't expect a dramatic increase in the usage of vouchers within Nashville and Davidson counties. My expectation would be that this would be relatively limited and marginal impact on our fiscal environment as a city.
And he went on to say if there's a change in that assessment, the city will be ready to adapt. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 6:33, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk. Dan Mandis here. You know, my vision had been getting worse for years, and I knew that I needed to make a change. Deciding where to go for vision correction can be complicated. It does take research. I started asking around and looking online, and one name kept coming up, the guy that I eventually went to, Dr. Horn and Vision for Life. Now, their reviews are incredible, with many people sharing life-changing stories about their procedures. Now, this is where I went for my vision correction lens replacement surgery, Vision for Life with Dr. Horn. He has been giving people 20/20 vision for 20 years. Now, he's been selected by his peers as one of the best physicians, one of the best eye surgeons, and one of the top 250 premier cataract surgeons in America. And most recently, he was voted Nashville's best ophthalmologist. Now, after learning all of this and discussing lens replacement, I decided to go with Dr. Horn. He spends a lot of time with each individual patient, patiently asking and answering all of their questions because, listen, this is life-changing surgery, and he does take the time to answer all your questions. So call them, tell them Dan told you to reach out at 615-436-2020, 615-436-2020, visionforlife.com. .635, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Guys, if you're feeling tired, your motivation just isn't there, maybe some weight gain and muscle loss. Well, these could all be signs of low testosterone. It is time that you found out for sure with my friends at Low T Center. Now, they make it easy to get your levels checked. It is just a simple test, and with their on-site lab, you are going to get your results back immediately. Now, this isn't your typical doctor's office. They simply specialize in one thing, treating low T with testosterone replacement therapy. We call it TRT for each individual patient. You see, it's all personalized. They've been helping patients for over a decade, and their treatment plans are optimized for each individual patient. Personalized just for you. There's nothing standard about Low T Center. Everything is customized. So this is the place you want to go to. And at Low T Center, by the way, you can also get your health evaluated for treatment with prescription GLP-1 weight loss medications. So get back to your best and go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's health care.
All right, I-40 westbound past Old Hickory Boulevard East, exit 221B. There's a crash with the right shoulder block. Those other accidents reported earlier have been cleared up. Look around the downtown area. That 24 ramp onto 40, still seeing that heavy volume of traffic. But otherwise, everything looks pretty good. 65 south going into the downtown area, picking up just a tad. But rush hour traffic hasn't hit just yet. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.638, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm actually kind of laughing, if you will, at Jasmine Crockett and her response to the controversy regarding what she said about Texas Governor Greg Abbott. Just a reminder as to what she said. I know I spoke about this 90 minutes ago. New audiences come in, and I need to let you know what her response to the controversy is. But this is what she said about the Texas governor.
Because we in these hot-ass Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot-ass mess, honey. So yes.
Do you know what I wonder?
Yes.
Who was she talking to? KGB or Joan? Do you know who she was talking to? Because the crowd was eating this up.
She was actually addressing a human rights or a disability rights.
Are you kidding?
I'm going to find it out.
True?
No, it was really weird that she was addressing them in that way.
And they thought that was
yes,
funny.
They thought it was great. Yeah.
So it was a disability event, and she's making fun of someone with a who's handicapped.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is this a Family Guy episode? What is this?
Well, and here's the thing: is that she's saying now that's not what she meant. She's saying now that, well, that's not exactly what I meant about the Texas governor. Here's what she said on social media. You ready? Now, I'm not buying this, but whatever. I wasn't thinking about the governor's condition. I was thinking about the planes, trains, and automobiles he used to transfer migrants into communities led by black mayors, deliberately stoking tension and fear among the most vulnerable.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, I was wrong about that. It was a pro-LGBTQ benefit dinner.
Okay.
So that makes more sense.
Well, that would have been way worse if it was handicapped, disabilities.
And so I'm going to remind you what she said, where she's talking about, again, Governor Greg Abbott.
Because we in these hot-ass Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now.
Governor Hot Wheels. She says she was thinking about the planes, trains, and automobiles he used to transfer migrants into communities led by black mayors, deliberately stoking tension and fear among the most vulnerable. Do you know what I feel like? Yeah, that's a ticket. You know what I mean? That's what I meant. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. She says, literally, the next line I said was that he was a mess, referencing his terrible policies. At no point did I mention or allude to his condition. So I'm even more appalled that the very people who unequivocally support Trump, a man known for racially insensitive nicknames and mocking those with disabilities, are now outraged. So a couple of things real quick. I don't know. People say that Trump has mocked people with disabilities. I don't quite remember what exactly it was that Donald Trump said or did regarding mocking people with disabilities. I don't believe that he was at the time. I could be wrong. But certainly Donald Trump is no angel when it comes to his own nicknames and so forth. But this was pretty blatant. This was pretty blatant with Jasmine Crockett. And by the way, the left, they have all been screaming about what Donald Trump has to say about some of these things for years, yet they have nothing to say about Jasmine Crockett. Now, The Observer, and I know this because I used to live in Dallas, they have now come out with an opinion piece. The Observer is like the liberal rag in Dallas. It's like, what is it called here? What's the liberal rag here? Somebody help me. Well, what do they call the liberal?
Tennessean?
Not
USA
the Tennessee.
No.
No. Somebody help me.
Time magazine? I'm trying to...
No, there's it's like... Whatever.
Wait, no, honestly, what do you... It's a local paper?
A local liberal rag.
Are you sure it's not just called the local liberal rag?
No, it's not. It's... somebody on the super text line, help me out, please, because I hate when this happens.
Nashville Scene?
Thank you. Joan Jones, the Nashville Scene.
I got it.
So The Observer is like the Nashville Scene. So this is from The Observer. Memo to Representative Jasmine Crockett. We love you, but please, STFU. One of our favorite members of Congress mocks Governor Greg Abbott's wheelchair. Sounds like a little DEI counseling is in order. Oh, what a great point. She does. She needs to be censured, which she won't care about. But she also does need some DEI counseling. Now, I want to play this for you because, of course, Republicans are horrified. But as you just, saw, that there's a lot of people on the left that are horrified as well. Some people even in the black community.
What's up, Jasmine Crockett? CJ Pearson here. On behalf of the black community, can you do me a favor? Can you shut the hell up?
That is a guy named CJ Pearson, and he is a guy who has been on Fox News. He's been on the socials. He is an influencer, and yeah, he is a conservative. And he does have a message for Jasmine Crockett.
No, seriously, I'm genuinely asking, can you shut the hell up? Because every single time you open up your mouth, you set black people back at least 10,000 steps. At least 10,000 steps. And what's so offensive about you is that the Democrat Party thinks that you are the type of person that can convince black people to do anything.
Yep. And he's talking about how, and I've got some more audio for you, he's talking about how it is completely racist what the Democrats are doing with Jasmine Crockett. Because remember, as I've been saying, this is a strategy that the Democrats are trying to employ to get some of the black support that they lost to Donald Trump back. I've got details straight ahead at 6:45. Time to check the roads on WTN. As far as your weather goes, for your Wednesday, a high of 67 today and sunny right now, 51 at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So, You know, one of the things that we always talk about is how Jasmine Crockett, she sounds so street, right? She says terrible things. Her grammar is obviously atrocious. And she just sounds, I mean, I'll let C.J. Pearson call it out.
They trot out some ghetto Barbie who uses bad grammar, acts a little hood, gets a little ratchet, that all the black people are just going to listen to everything you say.
Sorry, but fact check true. Now remember, and I've played you the audio before, where private school Jasmine comes out and she speaks so eloquently, she speaks so wonderfully, and she doesn't, you know, she doesn't sound at all like how she usually sounds when she's out there trying to make headlines.
Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now.
She went to, and I know that a lot of you folks know this, she went to a $35,000 a year private school. She went to Rhodes College, a private school where tuition is $55,000 a year. So it is obviously she is playing a part. It is obvious this whole thing is orchestrated. It is obvious that the leaders of the Democrat Party, they all sat around in some sort of a big conference room and they said, how can we win back that black vote that we lost to Donald Trump? And they came up with Street Jasmine. This is not some sort of an organic thing that is going on with Jasmine Crockett. This is a plan the Democrats have, and it's a terrible plan. Now realize Donald Trump roughly doubled his support from the black community from 2020 to 2024. About 3 in 10 black men under the age of 45 voted for Donald Trump. And so this is their plan. And it's racist. The Democrat Party is racist because they believe that Jasmine Crockett behaving the way that she is behaving, speaking the way that she is behaving, is the way to win back those black voters. She doesn't sound like she has any modicum of intelligence, and I know that she's a smart woman. I mean, you don't graduate from Rhodes without being smart, although I put very little faith in colleges these days, but I think you get my point. But they think that this is the way to connect with black voters, and I think that they're wrong.
And I gotta say, I knew the Democrats were pretty damn racist, being the party of the KKK and all, but I didn't know that they were this racist. I didn't. They truly had me fooled.
Yep. Well, they didn't have me fooled. We all knew it. I mean, who can forget Kamala Harris? It was the same thing. You know, sometimes she sounds like the San Francisco elite, Kamala Harris. And then other times she sounds very street, like Jasmine Crockett is trying to sound. And so I love what Greg Abbott, of course, the Texas governor, I love what he had to say in response.
Is another day and another disaster by the Democrats. The reality is they have no vision, no policy. They have nothing to sell but hate. And Americans are not buying it. It's one reason why Texas is going to remain red and why Republicans are going to continue to win elections across the country.
All right. So, I mean, Greg Abbott, and then he went on to talk about all of the things that Texas has it going for it because of the Republican Party. And I said this in the 5 o'clock hour. You look at some of the top states right now. You've got Tennessee. You've got Texas. You've got all of these Republican-leaning states or Republican-led states like Florida that are doing really, really well. Now, I don't know much about Jasmine Crockett's specific district. I actually should probably look that up because perhaps it's just as much of a train wreck as she is. I don't know. But when you have Donald Trump, day after day after day after day, executive order, doing everything that he can to fulfill the promises that he made to the American people. And you look at our bench, you look at J.D. Vance, you look at Marco Rubio doing an outstanding job as Secretary of State. You look at all of the great. Sarah Huckabee Sanders is another one. You look at all of Caroline Leavitt. I'd be willing to bet that she's got one hell of a political career in front of her if she so chooses. Don't forget, Sarah Huckabee Sanders ended up as a governor. So I believe that Caroline Leavitt, at the age of, she is like, I see 27. I think Caroline Leavitt is all of 27 years old. I think that's how old she is. Can you imagine the political or media career in front of her? So Jasmine Crockett, you know what? She'll continue to win elections. She'll continue to win elections, and she'll be a star within the Democrat Party. And if that's who the Democrats want to be their voice, well, then that's all fine, well, and good. Oh, and by the way, she also assaulted a cameraman. Details straight ahead. It is 6:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And am I supposed to be doing something right now? KGB?
BZB. We don't have the
we usually,
tease.
we don't usually play. That's right.
Yeah. Game changer.
Omaha. So Joan lost her voice, and so she doesn't have to do traffic today. She also doesn't have to do the teases. And so I didn't realize I was supposed to talk. Hey, everybody. Dan Mattis here at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. By the way, Brian Wilson joining us at 7:06 on Nashville's Morning News. And also coming up today, we have Lonnie Spivak. Of course, you know that Lonnie is a friend of ours, former chair of GOP Nashville. And he's going to join us at 7:35. Governor, I should say, Mayor for the city of Nashville, talking about raising property taxes. So we're going to talk to Lonnie Spivak about Mayor O'Connell's possibility on that. And also the Senator, Marsha Blackburn, is going to join us at 8:05 on Super Talk 99.7. Spring rebate madness is going on right now at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Now listen to these rebates from Busy Bee. They're always looking for ways to save you money. A mini split, 17 SEER, or a heat pump, 17 SEER. That is an $800 rebate from Busy Bee. Heat pumps, 15 and 16 SEER, $500 rebate. And duct sealing or repair, that's going to get you a $300 rebate when you go through Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. So many ways to save with Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. You've got to call them at 615-775-7833. You become a Beehive member. You get all kinds of benefits. And by the way, you joined today, you mentioned my name, you get a $50 rebate on both your spring and your fall tune-up. That means that you've already saved enough money to pay for the Beehive membership for the year. 615-775-7833. BusyBeeHVAC.com. 6:56 on Nashville's Morning News. You know, the weather in Middle Tennessee can get crazy, which is why you need a backup home standby generator from my friends at the Generator Supercenter, the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. Get a free quote and get peace of mind when you have one installed. Remember, a backup home standby generator will keep your power on when the power goes out in your community. The Generator Supercenter does feature expert installation and, yes, 24-hour monitoring as well. They're not going to leave you in the dark. Financing is available. Call them. Tell them Dan told you to reach out. 615-879-1952. 615-879-1952. Generator Supercenter of Nashville.com. .658, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you very much for listening. All right, so I find this next part of the Jasmine Crockett saga really interesting. So you know that she shoved the reporter.
Here, right?
Would you like to clarify your comments?
Good luck. As you can see.
Congressman, will you condone violence at the test?
Now, in case you didn't hear, and I, by the way, posted the video on my X feed at Dan Mandas Show. Do you know who's walking with Jasmine Crockett and wishing her luck? Tim Burchett. Congressman Tim Burchett. Now, remember, and this goes back a ways, but I was interviewing the congressman, and I really liked Tim Burchett, where he had actually made mention that he was friends with AOC, and people lost their ever-loving minds. Are you kidding me? And now, in this audio bite, if you listen close, you can hear Congressman Burchett wishing her luck.
Here, right?
Would you like to clarify your comments?
Good luck. As you can see.
Congressman, will you condone violence at the test?
And then she, of course, assaults the reporter by taking her hand and shoving the camera right back into the reporter's face. And so, you know, some people, I did mention this in the 5 o'clock hour, and people are like, why is Tim Burchett palling around and being friendly with Jasmine Crockett? And I would say that he is trying to rise above politics. And listen, I've been in Congress. I've been in the hallways of Congress. I've been out there and walked around. And, you know, a lot of these Democrats and Republicans, they are friendly with each other. And I would also say that Burchett has always said that he is able to rise above the politics and be friendly with these folks. And there's also something to be said for keeping your enemies closer. I don't know. A lot of people seem upset by this. I get it. I was a little shocked as well, but we'll continue to talk about that and a whole lot more straight ahead. It is Nashville's Morning News for Wednesday. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, good morning. It is 7 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Vice President J.D. Vance is set to join his wife, Usha, and others on a visit to Greenland tomorrow.
Greenland is a Danish territory, and the Danish Prime Minister says the trip by Vice President Vance tomorrow is putting, quote, unacceptable pressure on the island. Vance will join his wife, Usha, Along with the U.S. Energy Secretary and President Trump's national security advisor, they'll visit a U.S. military base for a briefing on Arctic security. President Trump has repeatedly called for Greenland to become part of the U.S.
ABC's Christiane Cordero. Closer to home, 2nd District Congressman Tim Burchett tells WTN's Matt Murphy's show he doesn't feel that God wants him to run for governor in 2026. But if Senator Marsha Blackburn were to throw her hat in and win,
if Marsha were to win and there was an opening in the Senate, I would hopefully I'd be in consideration for that.
So far, Congressman John Rose is the only one who has declared for governor in 2026. A federal judge issuing a ruling that reinstitutes a drag show at Texas A&M, slapping down President Trump's DEI executive orders.
Texas A&M board pulled the plug on the show, pointing the finger at President Trump's executive order, blocking funding for what the White House calls gender ideology. The university also arguing drag performances mock and objectify women, citing Title IX, which protects against sex-based discrimination in education. The student group, the Texas A&M Queer Empowerment Council, says no female students have complained.
It's the big event everyone kind of looks forward to.
The judge slamming A&M, saying the university didn't show any evidence the drag shows led to an increase in harassment against female students.
That's NBC's Yasmin Vazokian. Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
Stock futures were slightly lower overnight after the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq both posted gains Tuesday, the third consecutive for the Standard & Poor's. The Dow Jones ended yesterday a fraction above where it started. Shares in Tesla slipped in after hours trading on word that Chinese EV rival BYD has leapt past it in terms of annual revenue. BYD had revenue of $107 billion for 2024, compared with $97.7 billion at Tesla. The latest warning about the nation's finances comes from ratings agency Moody's, which says the strength of the economy is waning as budget deficits grow. Still, Moody's gives the country its top AAA rating. Elliott Investment Management, the investor group that forced sweeping changes at Southwest Airlines, including the introduction of bag fees, has its sights set on Phillips 66. Elliott has filed suit as it pushes for broader control of the energy company's board of directors. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Stock futures all pointing upward this morning. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
All right, a crash, I-24 eastbound on the McMahon Hollow Road overpass right now, and another injury crash on, let's see, see if I can say this properly, Hobson Pike at South Mount Juliet Road. That is closed due to a crash, so be wary of that if you're in that area. And also looking at the downtown Nashville highways right now, 24 on the 40, again, seeing this regular stop-and-go traffic. 65 north and south, though, looking open. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I know.
7:06, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 89.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. How are you? Dan Mandis here, along with Joan Jones, KGB producing. Brian Wilson joins us on Super Talk 89.7 WTN. It is Wednesdays with Wilson. Brian, how are you?
I'm doing very well. And you, Dan?
I'm doing great. Let's just launch right into it. There's a lot to talk about. I've got to ask, and folks heard me talking about this in the last hour. I want your official Brian Wilson talk show host opinion. Do you think that this whole Jasmine Crockett thing, do you think that this, like you had a whole bunch of, elite Democrat, planners and organizers and so forth, the leaders of the party, is this a concerted effort to make Jasmine Crockett as, number one, in my opinion, racist as possible, sound as ignorant as possible, make her sound as street as possible? Is this really their plan, their way to reconnect with the black community?
I don't know what their plan is, but I got to tell you, it's not going very well for Democrats. I mean, you listen to her and you think this is the best they got. AOC, they're seriously talking about AOC being the leadership of this party going forward, and Democrats, when you look at where they are, they're in a hole like I have never seen. Can I just share this article that I found in townhall.com? It talks about how, the Democrats are flailing, and this has been a line of mine for some time now. They're trying to figure out how to put the ship right for them, and they just keep flailing and flailing. And some of this is, well, people are going to Jasmine Crockett because she's colorful, and you get a good quote out of her. Some of this is being driven by reporters who just, want to stir the pot. That's all good and fine, I suppose. But that's a lot of what this is. But the Democrats are at somewhere between 27 and 30% approval.
Their lowest ever.
That is the lowest ever, Dan. And no popular national leader. It's not going to be Schumer. It's not going to be Hakeem Jeffries. If it is AOC, then bring me all of that you want to bring me, because I don't think she's the leader of the party, and neither is Jasmine Crockett. They have insufficient numbers to stop legislation in Congress. They have this is an interesting point, a dwindling influence over the media ecosystem, because the things that are powerful and are resonating right now are some of the more right-leaning podcasters, and the social media is ascendant on the conservative side. Young voters are growing dramatically more conservative, and they've got a really bad 2026 map for Senate races. You look at it, and they're in a world of hurt, and no one on the horizon that can help them rise out of it and reorganize. There's no popular leader on their side. So I look at it, and I think that they're in a hole the likes of which we have not seen in a very long time in American politics. They went too far left, and America has rejected their message.
One of the things that, and I'm going to share some data with you here in a second, but when it comes to Jasmine Crockett, one final thing on this is that, and I mentioned this earlier, is that Trump, he's basically doubled his support from the black community since his last, since 2020. And so, that's been going up for, all of the elections that he's been in, 2016, 2020, now 2024. And so I guess for the Democrats, they're trying to figure out a way to reconnect specifically with that community. Everybody knows that Jasmine Crockett, she doesn't really speak like that. She went to Rhodes College. She went to private school.
She's sounding pretty ghetto in these interviews, and she's a very well-educated individual, but she comes across, she's trying to appeal to the street, and her style is something that is garnering attention. But do people take her seriously? Does she really motivate? I got to tell you, there are some people out there who are incredibly triggered, as you can tell by looking at this unbelievable story about people setting Teslas on fire and attacking people who are driving. They're attacking their own.
Yes.
This is just the most insane thing I've ever seen. They're attacking people who drive Teslas, who largely have been people who were on their side. And it doesn't make a bit of sense to me, but they're really triggered and they're really angered. And I'll be honest with you, I want to be careful how I say this. There are some ugliness going on the left that we would never have on the right. And I am still the recipient of some of that, and that I'm getting threatening phone calls on about every 2 or 3 days. I get these threatening phone calls from people who no caller ID. I mean, they're angry, and they're
still
taking it out on me. Yeah,
they're still calling you.
Still calling
because you threw that down. I think it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's still happening, and I mean it's ugly, and it's pornographic at times, and it's very political, and they're coming after me and trying to intimidate me. Which okay, that's fine. Police are involved, FBI is involved. Don't worry. I'm okay.
Yeah.
But it just tells you how triggered they are. There are people out there who just want us who are so upset about what's happening that they have lost their ever-loving minds. And it is something to watch. We are in a weird place in America right now.
You're all about, Brian, news management. You've talked about that a lot. You spent many years in the news game. I want to play you some audio from Harry Enton. I played this earlier, where, and this is a guy who maybe a few less energy drinks, Harry, but you're great. And he was talking about the popularity of Donald Trump.
I think sometimes it's important to do a little bit of reality check and take a little different spin at the numbers. I'm going to do that right here because all we talk about is how unpopular Donald Trump is. But in reality, he's basically more popular than he was at any point in term number one, and more popular than he was when he won election back in November of 2024. What are we talking about? His net favorable rating right now comes in at -4 points. Compare that to where he was when he won in November of 2024, when he was at -7 points, or March of 2017, when he was at -10 points. So when you compare Trump against himself, he's actually closer to the apex than he is to the bottom of the trough. And of course, that's so important because Donald Trump, historically speaking, has had his numbers underestimated. So I think it's very important to compare him to himself to understand he's actually more popular now than he was when he won, or certainly where he was at this point back in his first term. The bottom line is Trump is more towards the ceiling than he is towards the floor.
I mean, I got to tell you, Brian, you're right. He's doing really well. The Democrats will say, oh, he's so unpopular, but he's really not. And
no, he's doing better now than he has done ever in the history of Donald Trump as a politician. He's doing better. And what's interesting is all of the ire, and if there's anything that Democrats are doing that is resonating, it is their attacks on Elon Musk. Now, I love Elon Musk. I love what he's doing. I want him to keep doing it. I want the government to be, pared down dramatically. I believe that the government which governs best is that which governs least, and I'm all in favor of making government smaller. I support him, but I mean, he is where the Democrats have focused, and is it resonating? Yeah, but here's the interesting thing: Elon Musk doesn't have to run for office.
No,
Elon Musk doesn't give a rat's patootie what people think about him. I mean, when you're that rich, do you really care? Now, I don't know. It may hurt his business, and he may have to start caring. But because a lot of people are upset about the Tesla brand, and they're setting the cars on fire and all of that, and it may ultimately hurt him. But at the end of the day, I have a feeling he doesn't really care whether or not people like him. He cares about doing what he thinks is the right thing and what I think is the right thing, which is shrinking government. But that's where the ire is. Trump is up, Elon Musk is down, and you have chosen as your enemy a man who just doesn't care.
Yeah. Well,
way to go, Dems.
And here's the other thing, and then I got to jump the traffic. But what do Elon Musk and Donald Trump both have in common? They're both losing money, a ton of money,
right,
by setting aside their personal interests for the good of America. That's part of the bond that Donald Trump and Elon Musk both have. And they're also targets of unreasonable and unhinged Democrats who hate them just because of their politics. And
right.
So I think that and I think the American people, I do believe that they're seeing this. I mean, he rescued the astronauts.
Right.
Elon Musk did. And so I
We're
think
so glad Butch is back home.
We are very glad that Butch is home. It is 7:15. Time to check the roads on WTN. 7:16 as far as your weather goes. It's going to be sunny today and a high of 67. Brian Wilson joining us on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, Brian, so let's shift gears here and talk about the situation with the group text. Now, I got to tell you that when this first started percolating as a news story, I was shocked by a number of things. But the thing that I thought was so incredibly funny was that, in a sad and sardonic kind of way, is that the only person, I believe, that has more Trump derangement syndrome within the media is CNN's Jim Acosta.
Yeah.
But somehow you've got Jeffrey Goldberg, the Atlantic editor, magically ends up on this this group text from on Signal, this group text app called the Signal.
Right.
And, I mean, this continues to percolate today. This is all the Democrats have. But Pete Hegseth continues to say no war plans were sent along in this group text. But give me your thoughts on this.
Well, first of all, it'll be interesting to see if that is truly the case, because Goldberg has said he'll be willing to come out with more information about war plans. But Hegseth says it didn't happen. The president went and doubled down and said there was no classified information that was on that text. And so, it's really, if that is the truth, that is a much ado about nothing. But quite frankly, I just don't understand, why in the world, how in the world this could possibly happen. I mean, of all the people in the world and all of the people in the media spectrum,
yes, the
furthest on the left is the Atlantic. And Jeffrey Goldberg is their flagship, editor. And I look at that and I say, how in the world, of all the people, did his number end up in this group text? Now, Mike Waltz says, I've never met the man. I don't know him, but he's taking responsibility as the national security advisor because he set up the group chat. But the bottom line is that to me, it sounds like somebody snaked them.
It looks suspicious.
Let's slip this little phone number into
suspicious.
this, right?
Yeah.
It is very suspicious, and quite frankly, somebody was a bad actor in all of this, and there needs to be a very thorough investigation. Probably we ought not be using these kind of apps for such discussions, it would seem to me, but I think that they're very concerned about trying to share information at the highest levels of this administration without, the deep state finding out about what's on it. I think they're trying to protect themselves from people within the government, but somebody, slipped that number, and I'm telling you, it seems to me to be very suspicious.
So this is what Mike Waltz, he was on with Laura Ingraham.
Right.
And this is what he said about that.
Is someone in your intel team trying to cause trouble here? Because that's the scuttlebutt out there.
Look,
that
we have people. No, look, this is a great group. The president has a great team. This is not first term.
No, your team. I'm not talking about the other principals.
No. These were principals and a couple of staff that were coordinating, as you saw, having a policy discussion as we went forward, and then just in the days before what was an incredible strike. Not only did we take out...
so then he talks about the successes of the Trump administration. Right. And he's right, they've had a lot of successes, and that's something the Democrats don't want to talk about. But he's trying to say there's no conspiracy here. This was an honest mistake. Donald Trump has said the same thing.
Yeah, well, it's a hell of a mistake. I'll tell you, how in the world did that number, of all numbers, end up on the thing? I don't buy it as being just an accident. Somebody did that on purpose. Somebody slipped it in. I would say that there's a staff member who had access to this somehow, because it's the coincidence of all the people in the world.
Yeah.
Your strongest and most one of the loudest critics of everything that you do would be the Atlantic and Jeffrey Goldberg, and he ends up on the text. I don't buy it. Somebody slipped it in there, and I hope that they get to the bottom of it and that person gets fired.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. Brian, we got about 2 minutes. Anything else on your mind?
Well, except I've done a little traveling, and I've been on the road a little bit, and sort of getting the pulse of people around the country. And even in places that I've been, which are fairly Democrat, I'm finding a great number of people are very pleased with what's happening with regard to the attempts to make the government smaller. At least the circles that I've run into, they're even in places where you wouldn't expect it. I find a lot of people are very, very happy with what's happening, and the Democrats, of course, their backs are against the wall and they're acting very badly, and they've loosed the hounds. There is an element within the Democrat Party of people who stir trouble.
Well,
and they have been released to go out and cause all kinds of mayhem, and these eco-terrorists who are burning up Teslas. To me, that's all very organized and supported by people who are very close and receive their funding from some of the most liberal sources inside the Democrat side of the equation.
Give me 30 seconds on the recent polling that shows that by a wide margin, Kamala Harris is the Democrats' favorite to run in 2028.
Here's my 30-second reaction. Give me all of that you want. Bring her back.
Please.
She was a horrible candidate. She was perhaps even worse than Hillary Clinton was, and Hillary Clinton was a horrible candidate. If that's your answer, if you want another round with Kamala Harris, then, that's just fine. I think people have forgotten just how bad a candidate she was.
All right, Brian Wilson, Wednesdays with Wilson, brought to you by the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Brian, always great to have you on, and we'll talk to you next week at the same time, unless news break and you are needed. Brian, always great to have you on.
Dano.
All right, see you later. 7:22 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And do want to talk about the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Now, this is a place that helped me with my chronic back pain. They can help you with your chronic back pain, neck or knee pain as well. Make 2025 the year that you get active again. If you've been sidelined with chronic back, neck, and knee pain, check out my friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville and Dr. Kevin Mitchell. I have been a client for over 10 years. I've never felt better. I arrived in Tennessee over a decade ago. I went through spinal decompression therapy for my chronic back pain. It really has helped a lot. They can help you as well, and right now, a great deal. They're offering the Big 47 offer in honor of our 47th President of the United States. 47% off of spinal decompression. That's right. They utilize the latest high-tech equipment in their state-of-the-art facility to provide effective non-surgical solutions. Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley, they are committed to helping you overcome back and knee pain. So call them today. Tell them you want the Big 47 offer, 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression, 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009, painisbad.com. 726 on WTN, the Glock store. Dan Mandis here, and America is full of gun stores. But here in Middle Tennessee, my home, for all things two-way, is the Glock store. Whether it is training, buying, upgrading my gun, you can count on the Glock store just like I have. Now, one of the reasons why Glocks are the most important and popular handgun in America is that there's so many different ways to customize with performance parts. Now, you've got night sights and competition triggers and red dot optics. There's so many ways to upgrade your Glock, upgrade your firearm, and they can do it at the Glock store, and they'll do it for free while you wait. There's always a gunsmith on duty, and yes, you did hear that right. You buy the parts. They will install them for free while you wait. Now, there's a lot of reasons to like the Glock store. Free parts and installation is just one of them. Now, I know that you'll find lots to find that you like about the Glock store, just like I have. For me, it was all about the training, of course, the purchase and the upgrading of the gun. A lot of reasons to like the Glock store. By the way, great customer service as well. Two great websites, shoot270.com and glockstore.com. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. By the way, do not forget their big open house is coming up. They do this every single year. Saturday, May 31st. They've got a lot of great giveaways and a lot of great specials as well. Find out more details about their open house on Saturday, May 31st at glockstore.com. .728, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. By the way, just talking about the whole group text controversy. Some people would call it a non-controversy. I like what President Trump had to say about this yesterday. Again, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, he is taking full responsibility, but this is what the president said as it related to Mike Waltz and what happened.
He's a very good man, and he will continue to do a good job. In addition to him, we had very good people in that meeting, and those people have done a very, very effective job, and you're going to see it.
Do you think that Mike Waltz made a mistake, and does he need to apologize?
No, I don't think he should apologize. I think he's doing his best. It's equipment and technology that's not perfect. And probably he won't be using it again, at least not in the very near future. What do you think?
That's sir. I agree with you. Let's get everybody in the room whenever possible.
So there you go.
Waltz said they are.
That is Donald Trump and Mike Waltz as well, handling it with a bit of a sense of humor. And I appreciate the fact that Trump isn't going to acquiesce to the liberal media's demands that Waltz be fired. I do appreciate that because I do believe that it was an innocent mistakes, and innocent mistakes happen. It is 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 7:30 now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. This is the day the state legislature will debate and vote on a bill that allows schools to turn away children who are in the country illegally. Protests are expected. Channel 4's Alexandria Adams.
So why is this bill so controversial? It's because in 1982, the U.S. Supreme Court said that states cannot deny undocumented children access to free public education. Now, the House GOP wants to challenge that law. They're saying it would help districts save some money.
Save money and help overburdened teachers. The vote is scheduled for 4:30 this afternoon. Got an update now on a house fire in Goodlettsville that we reported on yesterday. A woman escaped the flames but appeared to be in shock when she showed up in this neighbor's driveway.
I was worried about her because, you know, she's on my driveway. She doesn't know where she is, who she is. Just let's take in.
She was speaking to Channel 4 there. Investigators now say the bodies of 7 dogs that were found dead in their crates under the home's carport, they were too decomposed to determine how they died. Charges may still be pending in that case. Looks like you can scratch Congressman Tim Burchett off your dance card for potential candidates for governor. He spoke with Matt Murphy about it yesterday.
I pray about it. I'm a Christian. I'm not a very good one, obviously because of my chosen profession. But I honestly don't think God's leading me in the direction of Nashville.
But he did hint that he would gladly fill Marsha Blackburn's Senate seat if she were to run for governor and win. So far, Congressman John Rose is the only one who has declared for the governor's seat. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
7:32, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here, and I want to welcome on in Tony from Cabinet Solutions. Tony, a lot of people reacting to the fact that you right now are offering 15% off of cabinets at Cabinet Solutions. Let's talk a little bit about that great discount.
Yeah, Dan. The thing about this discount is it's a real discount. We don't inflate prices to where we can bring them down to appear like we're doing something. This is really coming off the everyday price.
Now, I've been down to your warehouse, your showroom, and you've got incredible cabinets. If you're looking to redo your cabinets, if you are looking to buy a home with some new cabinets installed, or if you're a contractor, you've got cabinets for everybody of all budgets and all styles, right?
That's right. From the most cost-effective to the most high-end custom cabinets you can imagine, we've got it. And also, I want to say something about that discount. If that discount doesn't appeal to them and they would rather have some interest-free financing, I can do that as well.
Okay, interest-free financing. That's awesome and really important in these times of high interest rates. You also have flooring as well and other things for the home, either home buyer, homeowner. Very quickly, talk about the other things you offer besides just flooring.
Well, they can pick out their tops there as well, the cabinet hardware. We've also got other vendors that are in our cabinet collective that they can look at. They can take care of their garage flooring. They can take care of the garage cabinets, garage doors. We're going to have outdoor living spaces out there. So there's a lot of things they can take care of right there under one roof.
All right, Tony, appreciate as always you being with us. Check out the website, friends, mycabinetsolutions.com, mycabinetsolutions.com. Interest-free financing is available, 15% discount going on as well. Check them out again, mycabinetsolutions.com. So 7:35, Nashville's Morning News. By the way, coming up in about 60 seconds, is Nashville going to raise property taxes? And if they do, how could that impact our neighboring counties as well? Lonnie Spivak is going to join us in 60 seconds. Dan Mandis here. What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now? Maybe even a couple $100,000. If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with my friends at Loan Pronto. They are the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold hard cash. So you can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. They have several easy options for you to choose from to let you access that cash in your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, and oftentimes no appraisal. The average homeowner, maybe you, has over $300,000 in equity. That is your money. You should use it. So find them online, loanpronto.com. You can get approved in as little as a day, so act right now with no hard credit pull up front. Again, loanpronto.com, 615-499-5780, equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval, and MLSconsumeraccess.org.
Got a couple crashes in I-40 westbound, one past Old Hickory Boulevard East, exit 221B, and the other one at Broadway, exit 209B. Right shoulders are blocked on both of those accidents. Looking at the downtown Nashville area, 40 coming into the downtown area, heavy stop-and-go traffic. That 24 on the 40 ramp especially, it is stop-and-go there. A lot of people are saying it's sometimes a parking lot over there, so be wary of that. 65 north and south going into the downtown area, experiencing that heavy volume of traffic. We're getting very close to rush hour traffic, but we're pretty close to it. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.737 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Will Nashville raise property taxes? Lonnie Spivak, of course, our friend Lonnie Spivak, of course, used to be the GOP chairman for Davidson County, joins us with this story. Now, Lonnie, this is a topic of conversation we've all had on WTN. Now, a couple of things. Number one is Freddie O'Connell, Mayor Freddie O'Connell. He has not actually said whether or not he's going to raise taxes, but he says that it's on the table. Now, we just raised property taxes in 2020, right? So why is it he wants to do this again?
Well, that's true. And if just to remind everybody, people in Nashville, in some areas, paid as much as a 37% increase back in 2020. And so what Mayor O'Connell is saying is, look, we have all these inflationary pressures. We have all, the cost of living's gone up. It's more expensive. We're needing to hire more police and firefighters. So we need more taxes. And so we're in what's a normal reappraisal year. And currently reappraisals in Nashville happen every 4 years. That's why it happened in 2020, and now it's scheduled to happen again. So what happens in a reappraisal year? They come through and they reassess the value of your home, and then you pay a percentage of the new value of your home. So it's kind of a tax increase because they're saying your house is worth more. But what Mayor O'Connell is saying is that it's very typical to do a rate change during these reappraisal years. So this is what happened back in 2020. They came back, said our property was worth more, and then they hit us for a property tax increase on top of that. And that looks like what we're heading for again. So he has said we're not sure what that rate's going to be. They're waiting to get all the budget and everything done. But I would be 100% sure Nashvillians can expect a property tax increase, again, on top of the half-cent sales tax increase for the transit.
It's interesting, Lonnie Spivak joining us. It's interesting because right now, I mean, the mayor talking about inflationary pressures, right? Well, the people of Nashville, I mean, they're suffering from the same inflationary pressures. So it seems to me like that would be incredibly unfair to the people of Nashville. Do we have a revenue problem in Nashville? I mean, I know that, are we still the it city? Is tourism down? Are we not seeing the revenue that we once did? I understand inflation and all that, but it just seems like 2 property tax increases in 4 years' time is just unfair.
Yeah, and it appears to me that our revenue has gone up year over year with sales and property taxes here in Davidson County. Really what we have is a spending problem, right? The city is intent on doing things that it feels are more important. If you listen to the Metro Council meetings, it's still, climate change this, and there's a lot of initiatives that they have where I think they're misusing our funds, but, we have a very active and liberal Metro Council in Davidson County, and that's how we elected them.
Is part of the problem, as I was reading about this, is part of the problem that fewer people are moving to Nashville itself and they're moving to the suburbs?
Well, I think really what's happening is people are moving to Nashville, but they're moving to Nashville from Illinois, from California, from New York, and the people who have lived in Nashville and are from Nashville are migrating out to the collar counties. I think we're seeing more of people emigrating out than coming in.
One of the things as you look at this, and Lonnie Spivak joining us, if the property taxes are raised in Nashville, what does that do traditionally to your Wilson counties, your Williamson County, your Rutherford County? Do you see that those counties will also raise property taxes, or do they just enjoy the fact the more people want to come to, for example, where I live in Wilson County, where they're always building new homes?
I'm not saying that they won't raise property taxes in those areas because I don't know what the financial need is in those counties. But Nashville per capita has the highest tax rate in the state. And so we're almost twice as much as our next highest, which is Williamson County. So whether they raise their rates a little bit or not, they still will not compare to what Nashville is charging. And they're all talking about affordable housing and this and that. And another property rate increase is just going to make apartment rents more expensive. It'll make it more expensive to buy a home in Nashville because, your escrow and your property taxes will be more, your insurance will be more. It'll just make it that much more expensive to live and work in Davidson County.
All right, let me ask you, because we all know that Nashville itself, there's a lot of development going on. We've got a new stadium. We've got the grounds around the stadium, going to bring in a lot of business, a lot of tax revenue and so forth. We, of course, the Oracle campus, that is an ongoing construction project and so forth. And there's, all kinds of development going on in Nashville. And so I guess part of my question would be, when we talk about Nashville having a spending problem, Are they giving too many gimmies away to these companies that are coming in, or maybe, again, the new stadium deal? And I understand there's incentives, but there's bonds and there's, tax revenue from the various development, the stores and all that other stuff that goes to pay for the bonds. I know that it's very complicated, but is it possible that we've just had too much development?
I don't know that I'd say we've had too much development. Just because we need those businesses, but really what we need is we need people to be able to live and afford to live in Nashville to be employed by those companies, and that's what they're making it hard to do. In the past, and there are areas, it's called tax increment funding, where they will give forgiveness on property taxes for a period of time to help a business get established. Now, I don't know that we've done too much of that in Nashville because we do need the businesses here. So I can't be 100% sure on that.
You got any input on the fact that there's a lot of states that actually have a cap on how high property taxes can be raised, and we apparently don't have a cap on that? Is there any indication that the state legislature might work in that direction, try to go in that direction of officially, from a legal standpoint, say that, no, you cannot raise property taxes a certain level?
Well, I know that Ronald Reagan's economist, Art Laffer, who lives here in Nashville, has been lobbying the state legislature to cap the property tax that counties can charge. And as of yet, the state legislature has not taken up that legislation. So I don't know where that stands, but I do know that there has been a push by Art Laffer to get that done. Now, one thing that it is important to know that the state is going to pass this year for the second time a constitutional amendment that will ban the state from levying its own taxes. and that'll be on the ballot in 2026 with the governor's race. So if that passes, the state will not be able to levy property taxes, but the counties still will be able to.
All right, very good. Thank you, as always, Lonnie Spivak. When do you think that this will come to a conclusion, yes or no on that?
I think they're going to start talking about the property tax in April. But the other thing is to remember, in addition to the property tax and the reappraisal, Mayor O'Connell is also pushing to change the property reappraisals from every 4 years to every 2 years. That means every other year they'll be able to raise your property taxes without even having to vote on it.
It feels like there's no stability going on here. Like you don't know what you're going to be paying from every 2 years. If that happens, and they're allowed to do that, it's interesting because they keep talking about, the city council keeps talking about affordable housing and finding affordable housing and all that. Well, they're making Nashville even more unaffordable if this continues to go in that direction.
The late, great Phil Valentine would always call it the unintended consequences of government. And I think that's what we'll see here, where they're thinking they're doing good, but they may actually be doing more harm than good.
All right, Lonnie, thank you very much for joining us on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Always great perspective. Running late, but worth it, 7:47. Time to check the roads on WTN. Thank you very much. 747, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. As far as your weather goes, looks like we're going to have sunny skies today, 67 degrees at Super Talk 99.7. All right, so Joan, are you able to chat with me very quickly in the WTN newsroom?
I am, yeah.
So headline from CNN, journalist reveals attack plans shared in war group chat. Now, I don't know if you've seen that. I'm desperately looking for it, but apparently that's what CNN is reporting. Breaking news.
What are they saying?
That the journalist, Jeffrey Goldberg, is revealing the attack plans shared in that group chat. Because remember, Pete Hegseth has been saying that no war plans were discussed in the group chat. And now he is saying, and we've all been saying, listen, where are the receipts? If you're saying, Jeffrey Goldberg, if you're saying that war plans were discussed in this group chat, and Pete Hegseth is saying, no, there weren't, well, somebody's lying. Now, I believe, and we'll see if I'm right on this, but I believe that perhaps we're splitting hairs on what war plans actually mean.
Exactly.
So I don't know if you've seen that story. I am looking for it. If somebody... There's so much to this breaking news story and this ongoing story that I got 15 different stories on this. But that breaking news I don't have. If anybody sees it, send it on the super text line, 615-737-9986. I will be asking Senator Marsha Blackburn about all of this and so much more. She is going to join us at 8:05 right here on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super text line is open, by the way, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WTN. People are saying, I was talking to Lonnie Spivak about a possible raising of the property taxes for Davidson County, for Nashville. And part of what people are asking is, what happened to the big boom? What happened to Nashville being the it city? I don't know if Nashville is no longer the it city, but, the article that I was reading is that fewer people are moving to Nashville. And I think that is part of the pressure that they're facing right now, is that people are moving to the, Rutherford County, Wilson County, Williamson County, and so forth. Number one, I think the reason why they're doing that is because, frankly, there's more room. In, for example, Wilson County, we've got, I think it's Big Bear Parkway or something like that out there where I live in Wilson County. And they're building all kinds of homes out that way. And just the further you go into Lebanon, the more room you get. So I think that there's a lot of development going on in, for example, Wilson County. I'm sure in Murray County, Rutherford County as well. Rutherford County feels like it's full, but I don't think that it is. Williamson County as well. So there's a lot of dynamic that's going on in Nashville. We have all of these businesses that are coming up. They're expanding. I've covered the Oracle expansion in the past, of course. Again, we have the new stadium deal. You got bond deals that happen as well. You say, okay, well, all of the revenue from the businesses around the stadium will pay for, the bonds will be paid for by all the taxes within the business going up around the stadium. That's how they're going to pay for the stadium. There's all these other kinds of deals that they have going on. So I just think that there's a lot going on in the city of Nashville and Davidson County when it comes to whether or not property taxes should be raised. But to hear Lonnie talk about this, so you're talking about not only raising property taxes, but we are still dealing with inflation. There used to be a saying, if I remember right, that you're not supposed to raise property taxes when inflation is crushing the American people. Well, inflation has gone down. That is true. Prices, though, are still high. Trump is working on that. But the big question is, what impact will this have on the city of Nashville? Will people stop moving there? And if your whole goal, I would say this to Mayor O'Connell, I'd say this to Metro City Council and everybody. If your whole goal is to bring more affordable housing, you're literally doing the opposite of that. And you're going to force people to move out of Nashville because people might say, you know what, screw this. I'm going to move to Wilson County because in Nashville, you have crappy schools. No offense, but you do. You have crappy schools. By and large, there's some good schools, but you have poor schools. You also have a higher crime rate than you see in other parts of the state. And let's be honest, a lot of tourists out there as well here in Nashville, and a lot of people who live in Nashville find that to be a pain in the butt too. So there's a lot going on in the city of Nashville and Davidson County. We'll have to keep an eye on Mayor Freddie O'Connell and see if he does actually raise property taxes. And if he does, I think that's going to be a big kick in the you-know-where for people that live in Davidson County and Nashville. It is 7:53 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Now, I disagree with Rick real quick. He says you're pronouncing that wrong, Dan. We're not the it city. We're the city. I disagree with Rick. Nashville has a ton to offer, and I love the city of Nashville, just so we're clear. But I do believe that you're going to be incredibly unfair if you are yet again raising property taxes on the people that live here. 7:54, Dan Mandis here. You know what? If you get tired of living in Nashville, then why don't you buy a pole barn from Stoltzco and go live in, one of these great rural communities? Because, when you put up a pole barn from Stoltzco, you can actually live in them. We call them barn dominiums. So you could go buy a piece of property like out in Rutherford County, maybe, more rural Wilson County, and you could put up a pole barn from Stoltzco, a barn dominium, and you could just live in it. I mean, that's what you can do with these pole barns. You can do anything with these premier pole barns that are built by Stoltzco. Putting up a pole barn from Stoltzco could increase the value of your land big time. You can use it as a garage, an event space, an equestrian building. You could just live in it. Again, pole barns from Stoltzco, they are flexible. They are indeed built really well. And you could also plan ahead and build your retirement home. Call them. Tell them Dan told you to reach out. 615-622-5992. 615-622-5992 for Stoltzco. Website, stoltzco.com. 7:57, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Dan Mandis here. You know, you've been probably some point looking for cars and see the words buy here, pay here. It does make you think that's not necessarily a place that I want to go. I do get it. Most of these dealers, they do indeed have bad reputations. I am here to tell you that there is one place you can go, Nolensville Road Auto Mart. Now, they're different for a few simple reasons. They've been doing business in Nashville for 61 years. They are Nashville natives. They only sell clean title cars under $12,000. Now, if you're new to town and you need a place to trust, you can trust Nashville Auto Mart. You need a first car, maybe for a 16-year-old? Well, they can do that too. You don't even need to take my word for it. Their Google reviews are amazing. And that's saying something for a car dealership. One location on Nolensville Road, close to Thompson Lane. They'll get you in and out in an hour or less. And the best part, they are the oldest buy here, pay here in Nashville. And they work with your own financing if you have it. Flexibility, transparency, and honesty. That is why I proudly recommend Nolensville Road Auto Mart. Find them online. It is automartcars.com. automartcars.com. $7:59, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I love the Super Text line. Dan, Sumner County is full. Dan, Murray County is full. Dan, Rutherford County is full. Dan, Wilson County is full. Williamson County is full. Nobody wants anybody from Nashville going to their counties, and everybody says that their county is full.
No vacancies.
No vacancy in any counties that are, you know what? I think Memphis has some property.
Oh, yeah,
I
take
think
that.
Memphis, well, you know, people getting, I shouldn't say the joke I was going to make. Memphis has room because nobody wants to live there. That's all I'm saying. Shelby County, it's terrible. So, you know, maybe Memphis can get the new people. If you think Nashville's bad, go to Memphis. It is a heck of a lot worse. But I get it. Nobody, if you want to get a native Tennessean going, then all you got to do is ask them about how Nashville used to be. And they will go on and on and on. 8 o'clock on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's now 8 o'clock. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We have just learned that The Atlantic has published what it describes as the attack plans that are at the center of the Signal text chain leak that involves senior officials in the Trump administration. We'll continue to look into this and bring you the latest in the moments ahead. The Trump administration, meantime, and DOJ has put public broadcasting in its crosshairs.
The leaders of PBS and NPR are set to appear before the House DOJ subcommittee today in a hearing on federal funding for public broadcasters. Committee Chair Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene accusing the public media outlets of liberal bias and has titled the hearing Anti-American Airwaves Holding the Heads of NPR and PBS Accountable. This coming after a federal judge temporarily blocked the Trump administration from shutting down Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, finding the attempt to defund the group likely violated federal law. Dave Packer, ABC News.
The push to legalize pot in Tennessee gets the legislative treatment today. That bill would legalize marijuana for anyone 21 years and older, and the 15% tax from the sale of pot would go to pay for repairing roads and bridges. The House Criminal Justice Subcommittee holds its first hearing on the proposed legislation today. Channel 4's Stacey Cameron, covering the General Assembly, says bills enhancing school safety advanced yesterday, but action on a controversial immigration-related education bill, they were delayed.
Controversial bill is the one that would let local public schools choose whether to kick out undocumented students or charge them tuition. The Senate Finance Committee pushed its vote on that bill back a week. That kept protesters away and let lawmakers focus on a long list of educated-related bills. Two of those dealt with school safety, and both passed easily through the House Education Committee. The first bill gives schools 48 hours to alert parents of a safety threat against their child's school if that threat was also reported to police. The second bill, it requires schools now being built or remodeled to use an entry-resistant film on doors and windows that meet a higher national safety standard.
The full House Education Committee is scheduled to vote on the illegal immigrant student bill today at 4:30. Country Music Hall of Famer Vince Gill had the honor of announcing new inductees yesterday.
Their artistry has not only defined country music for audiences worldwide, but it's also inspired future generations, paving the way for those who follow in their footsteps.
They are Tony Brown, June Carter Cash, and Kenny Chesney. Money News brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Stock futures this morning, a little mixed. We've got Dow futures up 67, but NASDAQ futures down 13. S&P futures are plus 2. That is the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
All right, looks like a couple accidents have been cleared up on I-24, but 40 still has a couple accidents. I-40 westbound, Broadway, exit 209B still being cleared up. That right shoulder is still blocked, and a new accident is reported on I-40 going eastbound, Donaldson Pike, exit 216B. Looking around the downtown area, rush hour traffic is in full effect. 65 north and south, heavy stop and go, as well as a classic 40 and 24 onto 40 ramp. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
8:07, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on in to your Wednesday, March 26th, and hope you're doing well. Senator Marsha Blackburn is joining us on the Newsmaker Hotline. Senator, always great to have you on. A lot going on this Wednesday. First of all, I saw a tweet or a post on X where you want folks who are going after Teslas and Tesla owners to be held accountable. I love what you're going to do. Talk about that first.
Yes, indeed. I have a sense of the Senate resolution. These individuals who are going after Tesla and Tesla owners, this is a form of domestic terrorism. They need to be held to account. And Dan, they're doing it because they're angry at Elon Musk, who is trying to help save the taxpayer money. And we're going through the Doge process. We're trying to restore some solvency and therefore protect our sovereignty in this country. We've got $36 trillion in debt. We've already, through the Doge efforts and the efforts of the secretaries and members of the House and Senate, we have tagged $115 billion of wasteful or fraudulent spending, and we're just 2 months into the job. Now, people that are out here protesting Tesla and Tesla owners and Elon Musk are happy with the status quo. They want to keep spending us into oblivion, and they don't want to cut back what we're spending, what the federal government is spending. What they've lost sight of is it is not government money, it is U.S. taxpayer money. And as a steward of that money, we need to stop this insane, out-of-control spending.
One of the things, Senator Marsha Blackburn joining us, and there's again, a lot going on, but one of the things that I have noticed, whether it is the attacks on Teslas, the attacks on Elon Musk, or someone like Jasmine Crockett, for example, who is day by day, day after day, saying some of the most reprehensible things, is that the Democrats are quiet about all of this. I mean, they're just Hakeem Jeffries, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer. They're not saying anything about, number one, the bad behavior of people who, Democrats and what they're saying and what they're doing. And they're not saying anything to condemn the violence that is going on across America. You find that disturbing?
Oh, yes, indeed. And that is the purpose of the resolution. It is a simple one-page resolution. And what we are doing is saying that the Senate condemns the horrific acts of violence, arson, domestic terrorism committed against electric vehicles, car dealerships, and charging stations throughout the country. And everyone should stand with me in condemning this activity. And the fact that individuals who drive Teslas can't take them places because someone may damage it. See, and they also are missing the point. This isn't hurting Elon Musk. It is hurting the people that own these vehicles. It is hurting the people that work at the dealerships, that are in the service departments. It is hurting the private businesses that have installed electric vehicle charging stations. This is what they are doing, and it's destruction of personal property. It is destruction of livelihood for individuals. It is a form of domestic terrorism, and these individuals should be apprehended and should be held to account. There are already 3 individuals that are being charged under these statutes, and we know that condemning this would send a strong message that the U.S. Senate is going to condemn these actions and does not support this type activity. So I'm encouraging all of my Democratic colleagues to speak up, to be heard, to be on the record and condemn this activity.
I cannot wait to hear what they have to say, or their silence, in my opinion, Senator, will speak volumes. Speaking of Doge, I thought this was great. Donald Trump signing an executive order wants to send DOJ to take a look at the voter rolls in states all across the country. This is part of his effort to bring integrity back into our elections. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, indeed. One of the things that President Trump is doing on a daily basis is sending power and authority back to the states. And so many times, the federal government under the Biden administration and previously under the Obama administration, what they've done is to put so many qualifiers and contingent actions on mandates and receiving federal money that it tied the hands of your local and state officials when they received these funds. So another of the actions that President Trump is taking is to say, we encourage you to look at the voter rolls, because previously under Biden, you could not remove anybody from a voter roll, even if it was someone who was deceased. They did not want you to look at it. But in this country, we treasure one person, one vote. We treasure making it easy to vote and hard to cheat. And we want to see these actions move forward. So this is more of the steps that you will see President Trump take to send the money, power, authority back to the states. He's doing it on education, on healthcare, on regulation, on benefits, and you will see this government-wide.
Senator, as you know, certainly as part of the Judicial Committee, you're well aware of this, but Donald Trump doing a lot of great things, a lot of it by executive order. Judges are blocking Donald Trump at every turn.
Right.
A lot of people are talking about impeaching some of these judges, particularly Boasberg, the one who is trying to somehow keep, for whatever reason, he wants to keep murdering Venezuelan gang members in our country. What do you think about the concept of impeaching these judges? Some people say it can be done. Other people say it can't. What say you?
It is going to be very difficult. The House would have to take that step first. I have not talked to any of the House Judiciary Committee members, so I don't know what their thought is. We have taken an action in the Senate. And Senator Grassley, who is chairman of Judiciary, has legislation that would clarify that a district judge's purview is over the case that is before him and the district that he is appointed to serve, and that his action is limited to that. That would get past these district judges that are doing nationwide injunctions, and they do not have the authority to do that. So even though we're separate branches of government, we can take up that legislation that would provide that clarification around the responsibility and the purview of the district judge. And I think we're moving forward with that today or tomorrow. And we are also moving forward with filling some of these vacancies in the judiciary that need to be filled. We want to make certain that we have unbiased, qualified, constitutional jurists that are going to sit on the bench and call balls and strikes, and who recognize that it is important when you sit on the bench to abide by the rule of law. And we don't want activist judges, not from the left or the right. We want people who believe in justice, equal justice for all, equal access, equal treatment.
8:16, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7, and Senator Marsha Blackburn is joining us. We do have some breaking news, Senator. Jeffrey Goldberg has released more of these text messages in this war group chat that, of course, we all have been talking about. I know that you're aware of the story. And Pete Hegseth, Secretary Pete Hegseth, has said that there were no war plans that were discussed in the group chat on Signal, but now he has released what some people are saying are war plans. I know, I don't even know, because we're trying to get behind this stupid paywall, but what is your overarching thought on that whole storyline?
What we have to realize is that Jeffrey Goldberg does not like Donald Trump. He does not like this administration. Signal is something that is used. You have heard different members of the intel community say that whether it was the previous administration or this one, there were communications that were handled by Signal. And it doesn't matter if it is an action that they take, or if they had put this on the front page of the New York Times, which all these leftists read every morning, that what we did was send a message to the Houthis and to Iran: you better watch out, because we're not going to stand for you carrying out these crimes against us or our allies. And what you've been doing in the Middle East is going to come to an end. And of course, we all know Iran is the one who is funding, whether it's Hamas or the Houthis or Hezbollah or ISIS Syria, ISIS Iraq. They're the ones that are funding all of this. And it's why it is so important that we have returned to imposing the sanctions against Iran so that they are not able to sell their oil on the open market. And I am grateful that Secretary Rubio, that Vice President Vance, President Trump have all been resolute in that and dealing with this situation. And I will add, I am grateful that they are making certain that Israel has what they need to defend themselves and what they need to eradicate the face of the earth of Hamas.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, you've got all of these foreign policy successes that we've seen with Donald Trump, from the release of the hostages and so forth. And so I think that is part of why you have the media just glomming onto this story about this group chat on this Signal. But I think the bigger
Dan, I think one of the things here, Donald Trump has such a high approval rating right now. And the things that we are doing with Doge and getting the cabinet confirmed, and how we've gotten the border secure, and we're cutting into this spending, and we're getting ready to make tax cuts permanent. And it is like they can't stand it. They cannot stand that the country is doing well under Republican control, that people feel like things are returning to a sense of normalcy, and that we're restoring our standing in the world. We're dealing with the issues on tariffs and trying to move to reciprocal tariffs. And it is like they're just begging for something to go wrong. So they think they've got a story, which in my opinion is a non-story, and they think they can go blow this up and get 2 or 3 days of their faces and their names back in the headlines. And quite honestly, I don't think it's going to work.
So how much, Senator, final question here, how much are the Democrats in the Senate? You know, the Chuck Schumer, you've got people that are really gunning for politically Chuck Schumer. They're saying that AOC should primary him in 2028. From your vantage point in the Republican Party, but you're obviously watching what's happening on the other side, do you have any thoughts on the future of the Democrats in the Senate and Chuck Schumer's future as leader?
Chuck Schumer will go nowhere. He will continue to be the leader, and if AOC challenges him, she will lose, and then she'll move on and do something else. But what we do know is this: the Democratic leadership and the Democrats in Washington, D.C. are on the wrong side of every major issue right now, whether it's men and women's sports, whether it is getting terrorists out of this country and getting them to an El Salvador prison or down to Gitmo. They're on the wrong side when it comes to making certain that our communities are secure and that we are fighting crime. They're on the wrong side of all of these issues. And today, we're going to give them the opportunity to get on the right side of an issue by supporting this resolution that condemns this domestic terrorism that is taking place all across this country.
All right, Senator, it's always great to have you on the program, and good luck with that resolution. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how the Democrats respond. Do I have my cricket sound effect handy, KGB? Because I'd be willing to bet that once the senator files that resolution and they realize that she's asking for a response, turn that up a little bit. I think that's what we're going to hear. That's what we're going to hear. We're going to hear crickets from the Democrats. Thank you. I'm way late, and I don't know where I'm supposed to be. 8:23 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm going to go ahead and read contours. That's what I'm going to do. All right, very good. Thumbs up from the other side of the glass. That pre-summer stress is starting to kick in, friends. How confident are you that you are ready to slide into that bathing suit? Now, if you need help, like so many of us do, check out Contours of Cool Springs. They are experts in red light technology. Now, they can help you lose 2 inches of fat in that first session, or it is free. Now, I did it. My pants are noticeably looser. And listen, if you're not satisfied, if you don't see the results you want or expect, that session is free. That's what I love about Contours. They truly want what is best for you. Now, they are in Cool Springs. They are the only place in Tennessee with this cutting-edge red light technology. Folks come from everywhere because what Contours offers is unique and effective. See how it works at their website. It is contoursllc.com. Now, right now, first 10 callers, a great deal. $99 belly buster special goes to the first 10 callers right now. That is normally a $600 value. 615-236-9960. 615-236-9960. You get a $99 belly buster special. That is usually a $600 value. First 10 callers right now. 615-236-9960. Find them online, contoursllc.com. $826 on WTN. Chris Had just popped in. He is here, and he sent me the intel on the Atlantic and what it is that Jeffrey Goldberg is saying were war plans that were shared in this group text on Signal. And basically what Chris, because I've been on the air, so basically what Chris is saying is that Goldberg, I know you'll be shocked at this, is full of crap. That's what he's saying. I'm going to look at it. We're going to talk about it at 8:35. Jonah, of course, has the story as well coming up at 8:30 on Nashville's Morning News. Dan Mandis here, spring cleaning time. And Zero Res is offering a great way to get your carpets clean and save you money. Now, I've been using Zero Res for years. I'm an actual client, and I've been a client for years. I've been a client before I started repping them because they don't use harsh chemicals, they don't use harsh soaps, just powered water, and that means pure safety for your family and your pets. Now, if you think about the last few months of snow and all of that rain, you've got all of that dirt, the grime, the bacteria, the mud that's been tracked into your home. You need a carpet cleaning company that can safely get your carpets clean. Now, not only does Zero Res have the highest approval rating possible from the Carpet and Rug Institute, they are also rated the #1 cleaning system in the nation by an independent testing laboratory. When they clean, there is nothing left behind. Right now, a great deal. 2 rooms of carpets clean for $109, 25% off of area rugs. 2 rooms of carpets clean for $109, 25% off of area rugs. Restrictions may apply. Call them 615-535-9376. 615-535-9376. Find them online, ZeroResNashville.com.
Good morning. It's now 8:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. The Atlantic has released new screenshots of messages sent between top Trump administration officials through the Signal app. Now, these messages detail the timing and the weapons to be used in military strikes against the Iran-backed Houthi militants. The Atlantic saying that the spin from the White House pushed them to release more detailed messages. However, the question is, are they classified? Reporter Kimberly Dozier says probably not.
Classification authority goes to the head of whichever branch that intelligence comes from. So you could see the DNI Tulsi Gabbard and the CIA Director Ratcliffe yesterday setting up the legal argument that because Hegseth himself typed in most of those details into an unclassified chat, that by the act of doing that, he reduced those details from being classified to being just sensitive.
Now, we'll have more on this breaking news story as more details become available this morning. President Trump has signed an executive order requiring anyone wishing to vote in the U.S. to provide government-issued proof of U.S. citizenship on registration forms. The pushback was immediate.
It would seriously undermine our elections, but really this is just the latest example of a series of executive actions that this administration has taken to undermine free and fair elections in our country. And I think it's something people should be really, truly concerned about.
That's Sean Morales Doyle of the Brennan Center. That claim, this executive order, by the way, requires states to comply in order to receive federal funds for elections. It's been more than a month since Governor Lee signed a school voucher bill that passed in the state legislature. So what impact will it have on Nashville? Well, Mayor Freddie O'Connell speaking to Channel 4 yesterday.
We don't expect a dramatic increase in the usage of vouchers within Nashville and Davidson counties. My expectation would be that this would be relatively limited and marginal impact on our fiscal environment as a city.
He went on to say that if there is a change in the assessment, the city will be ready to adapt. That is the latest news, traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 8:33 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Sell your home with a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. You can receive the strongest cash offer in the industry. You're going to save time and make the most money. Now, with the guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate, you can skip the hassle of getting your home ready to sell. You can receive an all-cash offer and close in as little as 21 days. There's no showings, no open houses, and no stress. Now, one of their clients, Jerry, talked about his experience. This is a quote. "We needed to move quickly, and we were worried the process would be lengthy, and we would spend a lot of money on repairs. Mark Spain Real Estate got us an offer in just 3 days, and it was over the asking price. It was amazing." This is me talking now. Friends, you've got to sell your home. And if you do, you got to work with my friends at Mark Spain Real Estate because this is a big decision. Now, as the most experienced real estate team in the industry, you can trust Mark Spain Real Estate to sell your home fast and for maximum profit. Find out what your guaranteed cash offer would be. There's no obligation. 855-299-SOLD is the phone number, 855-299-SOLD. You can also always find them online at ismarkspain.com and start packing. .835 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I spent the afternoon yesterday with my friends at Nashville Tent and Awning, and I was out at the Inner City Ministry. You know, they've got their big event coming up here in the next couple of days, March 27th and 28th, and you get thousands of people out there. Do you know who is providing the tents for this incredible community event? That's right, Nashville Tent and Awning. Because not only do they work, of course, with all of the biggest brands in Middle Tennessee, we're talking about the Titans, we're talking about Vanderbilt University and so forth, but they also work at great community events like Inner City Ministry. And so I'm looking forward to seeing more of the great work of Nashville Tent and Awning. These people have been around since 1884. And as I said, they've worked with the Grand Ole Opry and Vanderbilt and the Titans as well. They are one of the top companies in Nashville, as a matter of fact. But they don't just work for companies and corporations and great organizations like the Inner City Ministry. No. They also work with homeowners like you and companies as well. But I want you to think about your backyard. You can actually extend your living space with a backyard enclosure from Nashville Tent and Awning. So you can really enjoy the outdoors more in the next couple of months as it gets really hot with one of their amazing backyard enclosures. NTACO, N-Taco, as I like to say, ntaco.com. You can get some visuals and check them out at that website. Call them, tell them Dan told you to reach out, 615-329-3701, 615-329-3701. Solid craftsmanship built to last since 1884 in Nashville, tent and awning.
All right, looking like no new accidents on the highways at the moment. Looks like a bit of rush hour traffic is heading our way to the downtown Nashville area. 65 north and south seeing some heavy stop and go flow, as well as that classic 40 going into the downtown area as well. That 24 on the 40, same thing, but no new accidents to report, fortunately. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Dan yet?
8:37, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Joan Jones, I have a bone to pick with you.
Yeah, what is that?
And I'm sad that I actually gave you some of my throat coat.
Oh,
so I'm just kidding.
That was the nicest thing you did all day.
Well, it's early yet, but no.
You gotta call it a riot.
You sent a video to Chris, and he just showed it to me and scared the living crap out of me.
Nice. I'm so glad you jumped.
See, I knew this was all a plot with Chris and Joan. Karma's, you know what. So I guess Joan sent this video. Did you post that somewhere?
I'll put it on my Instagram story at Chris and on air.
I'll do it too.
So Joan apparently sends Chris a video, and it's a guy. Chris says, "Hey, look at this." So I'm looking at it intently, and the guy is going through whatever is in his refrigerator. And I'm like, okay, what the hell is the point of all this? Suddenly, it's like, guy screams, and there's a big spider that comes into the video, and it's like a jump scare. It's designed to scare.
Dan jumped.
And
I'm so happy.
I jumped. Yes, I did.
That was the point of it. The guy's he said he could see something moving in his refrigerator. So he's going through all the bottles to try to find it. And a spider jumps out. It's an animated spider. But yeah, it's designed to make you jump. It made me jump. It made all my relatives jump because I sent it to everybody.
Very good.
Including
Very good.
Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I said to her yesterday,
I
said, did you send this to Dan yet? She goes, no. I said, all right, wait, I'll do it tomorrow.
Yes.
I didn't get one.
Oh, sorry.
I want to be
I
included.
didn't send you? Okay.
Well, I think the whole plot with Joan was that she wanted to, make me look silly
She was using me as a proxy. That's what she was doing.
Chris Hand, Jones proxy.
Does it feel good to be my proxy, Chris?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It does. I'm here for it.
Now, did you know that Joan started smoking overnight?
Yeah, and drinking whiskey.
It's good for
And
her.
drinking whiskey?
Yeah.
Good for her.
Joan, people are saying you sound sexy. I'm not saying
really?
anything,
Okay. Well,
but
it doesn't feel sexy. I can just tell you that.
I thought that was an off-air conversation.
Wow. Exposing behind the scenes, are we?
now people are saying that you sound like, and I wish I had some audio, but I don't. But do you know who Nina Blackwood is, Chris?
No.
Of course he doesn't know who she is.
And clearly, the youngest of the four of us, KGB, also has not heard of Nina Blackwood. Joan and I know that Nina Blackwood was one of the original MTV VJs.
Yeah.
Oh.
And she is...
What year?
1980 something.
80s, yeah.
So we weren't
1980s.
alive.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway, so she is currently on, I don't know if she still is, Sirius XM as a DJ.
Okay.
You can hear the respirator.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she sounds and she sounds terrible. I don't know how it is that they have her on, as a DJ on the satellite channel, but they do.
She's only 65. She shouldn't sound like that.
I think with her,
Yeah.
she's a whiskey and cigarettes kind of gal.
Yeah.
Now, just to be clear, Joan Jones is not. This is the woman that wears a sweatshirt to work that says Jesus is Lord. I mean,
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
People love that sweater.
Absolutely. So Joan's not a whiskey and cigarettes kind of gal, but you do have the sound today, and people, again, think that you sound sexy. So there you go.
I hope it starts feeling like it's sexy.
I don't know.
People will love Joan regardless. Like,
Yes, they
whatever
would.
she does, she will be beloved. It's Joan and then everyone else at WTN underneath.
So I did, just so people know, I did share with Joan one of my throat coats.
And you know what? It does help to make your throat feel better.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
It doesn't help the quality of the voice, but it helps that throat feel better.
Joan was such a trooper. She came in, she calls me up, and she's like, I have no voice. And so she says, call me so that you can, listen.
Yeah, you got to gauge this.
And so she and I are talking, and I'm like on the phone. It's like, yeah, you should probably turn around. She's like, well, I'm 2 minutes away.
Oh.
So,
you should have called earlier.
At that point, like, what are you going to do?
As soon as I walked in, they're like, Jeff, you're doing the traffic. I'm like, you got it.
Yep, that's exactly right. So Jeff had to do the traffic, and I'm now.
Oh, I'm always happy to do the traffic.
And I'm now down one package of throat coat, which is fine. And if you want another one, I'd be glad to give it to you. So anyway, Joan, thank you for coming in. Now, can we talk about what it is that Goldberg has released?
Let's talk about it.
So what has he released?
Okay, so I have the Atlantic article. I haven't read the entire thing yet. I got the archive link as I was driving in. I sent it to you to get us behind the paywall because nobody wants to subscribe to the Atlantic.
No.
So I don't know.
And can I be honest? How important of a story is it if the Atlantic is putting it behind a paywall?
Thank you.
Right?
So I don't know. Do you know how the internet works? You can do archives.
I tried to do this yesterday based on your description of how to do it.
Did you hear
and
what
it
he
didn't
just said
work.
to me, Joan?
I did, but I'm in the same boat as you.
By the way,
get it.
for people who are watching on Super Talk
you
TV,
got busted. Yeah, you weren't flipping off the audience.
you go ahead and take a screenshot of me. I'm flipping off Chris because he said, "Do you know how the internet works?"
So do you know how the internet works, Dan? So they use the archive services. You put in the website that you got, and it pumps out a new link. It saves it kind of like as a screenshot, a screen grab, essentially.
I knew that.
So I was. You can search for the Atlantic article on X, and you can use the word archive, and you can probably find it yourself.
So anyway, what does it say?
Essentially, the biggest smoking gun that he has is a timeline that Hegseth sends out to the group.
Right.
Okay.
That's it. So I guess the question would be, is the timeline considered war plans, or were the plans done before he sent the timeline? Obviously, I would think that there was much more strategic planning going on more secure channels.
Yeah. Well, probably in the Situation Room.
Yep.
And probably, I think, do you know what it is? This whole thing, the plans were made ahead of time. I don't really think, would be my message to Atlantic editor Jeffrey Goldberg, I really don't think that they were just on the fly coming up with the war plans in a group chat on Signal. I think
they weren't.
I think that the plans were made, and then it's time to execute. And that's what, from what I've read, that's what this whole thing was about, was, okay, when are we going to do this?
So the timeline, excuse me, I sound like Joan.
Mm-hmm.
So the timeline, he sends an update at 11:44 Eastern. The first action in the timeline is taking place at 12:15 Eastern. So you have a 30-minute window there of things not happening where you could say that's classified information. After that 30-minute window, everything is starting to be in motion.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So I have a hard time feeling like this is classified
And here's the
war
other
plans.
thing. So then if all of this is classified and Jeffrey Goldberg knows that he should not be on this text chat, well then, I don't know, somebody maybe ought to look at him for illegally obtaining classified information.
Also, yesterday he had this whole line about how it was out of the goodness of his heart that he wasn't publishing anything because he realized how sensitive the information was. Well, that's kind of blown out of the water now too, isn't it?
Well, it is, and that whole line was a piece of crock because the attack had already happened. So you're not exposing anything by just having Pete Hegseth and others talk about what time they're actually going to do this. The attack has already been done. So you're not exposing anything.
No, there was a 30-minute window where something could have been exposed, but nothing would have been stopped. Things would have been in motion. I just keep coming back to the same thing. I don't buy that this is an accident.
Right.
I think that there's only two logical scenarios. They invited him in knowing he would be in there for some reason, which obviously didn't come to pass. Or there's a nefarious actor that invited him in on the low.
I think it's a nefarious actor. I was talking with Brian Wilson earlier, as a matter of fact. He was asked about this. Need some audio. He was talking to Laura Ingraham last night, and listen to what she says.
Is someone in your intel? Is someone in your intel team trying to cause trouble here? Because that's the scuttlebutt out there.
Look,
that
we have people. We have people. No, look. This is a great group. The president has a great team. This is not first term.
No, your team. I'm not talking about the other principals.
No. These were principals and a couple of staff that were coordinating. As you saw, having a policy discussion as we went forward. And then just in the days before, what was an incredible strike. Not only did we take out,
and he starts going through, the victories of Trump against the Houthis. So the point is, it doesn't sound like he's leaning into this theory that somebody somehow allowed Goldberg into the text chat.
But don't you feel like, though, that's a defensive maneuver by the administration? Because either A, they don't want people to think they got one over on them, or B, they don't want anybody to think that they were inviting him in for whatever purpose they would have invited him in for.
Or they don't want to tip somebody off that they're onto them.
I think that's the most likely scenario.
You think that's a scenario, Joan?
But one of the things that was revealed this morning in these text messages is that it was on his phone, on Mike Waltz's phone, that the invitation to Jeffrey Goldberg came to join the chat.
Okay, but here's my opinion on that.
Somebody could have had his phone, right?
I guarantee you. Well, didn't they say that a staffer is the one? Because, these guys have their government phone, and then they've got their private phone. So I would assume that Waltz has nothing personal on his government phone, and so he hands it to his staff, his assistant, whatever, and the assistant does all the things that need to happen for these calls to happen, these group texts to happen.
The other thing in this new article that it shows, and one of the things that was a big topic of conversation yesterday was, how do you not know he's in there?
Right.
So he showed the screenshot of everybody that's in the chat. And it doesn't show Goldberg's username. It just shows his initials, JG, and then it says you, because Signal is identifying to him that you're looking at your phone. That's you in the chat.
Oh, right.
So we still don't know what Goldberg's username on Signal was. And I think that would bring more clarity to the was this a mistake narrative.
Right. On Signal, do you have names like, if it's Goldberg, I'm thinking, Trump hater 04, what would his...
I don't know if it's run the same way as AOL Instant Messenger back in the day. But
is that another slap against my age? Is that what that was?
Good. Do you think the government ever used AOL Instant Messenger back in the day instead of Signal?
100% they used
I would pay money to see what
but
the
the funny thing is,
were.
AOL Instant Messenger is probably safer than Signal right now.
That's
because you've got everybody in the world is trying to figure out, okay, so this is apparently what the government uses, so let's figure out a way to break into them.
Yep.
How is it? Can I just ask a question? How is it the government, with all the money that we pay in taxes, how does the government not have some sort of a proprietary piece of technology that allows everyone to do a group chat via text that is not a commercial product, but is actually something that is made by the intelligence agencies or whatever?
Because it's the government.
You would think so.
Right?
I mean, but you could also probably make the argument that maybe they do. And what we're seeing with the things like Signal and Telegram, that's those old technologies now reaching the public marketplace.
Yes.
Okay. I see that. So by and large, I think this is all going to come down to, so like I said yesterday and earlier today, define war plans.
Yep.
What defines war plans? Because I think you're right. They didn't come up with this plan to bomb the Houthis where and what bombs to use and where the ships are stationed and the drones and all that kind of stuff.
That was not the first time Hegseth sent out the timeline and everybody went cool. And he's like, oh, all right, I don't have to change anything. You guys are good with that? Perfect,
Right.
we'll do that.
I think probably what they did was they all got together, situation room, whatever, and they said, okay, we got to bomb the Houthis. We got, ships here. We got drone capability here. These are the bombs we have. These are the buildings they're in. And this is from our intelligence. This is when we can bomb them so that we can inflict the biggest amount of damage.
Yep.
All of that was already set. And now it's just like, okay, time to go.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
Yep. And again, there's only a 30-minute window between when Hegseth dropped that first timeline message to when it began.
Here's what Jeffrey Goldberg was saying this morning on MSNBC. He said, quote, "We did redact one piece of information because we felt on our own that it was best to do. And the CIA asked us. But at a certain point, the administration is saying there's nothing classified or secret or sensitive. I just felt we should let our readers decide for themselves." So he's still holding back one piece of information to hold over the administration.
And the only piece of information that he's holding back just happens to work for the CIA.
Probably.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Did anybody else find that weird?
It's weird. It's weird. All right, very good. Is there anything else that we were supposed to talk about today? This is breaking news, so...
I mean, this is a story. This story, and I heard Murphy yesterday, and I get where he's coming from. Like in conservative circles, this is like a whatever. But we are giving the left a lot of narrative to run with.
Yeah, we are. I would agree.
And the non-news oriented normie is thinking that we are just completely incompetent right now.
You're right. What did you say?
News-oriented normie.
The non-news-oriented normie. That's good.
Normie.
That's what they call people in Harry Potter.
So, I think you're right. I see what Matt is saying as well.
I do too.
Makes sense. I would disagree though. Anytime you give your enemy a window, then it forces you on defense. And like it or not, Trump has been on defense for the last 24 hours.
Well, and they've definitely been on defense, and they've had competing messages. So Waltz on Ingram last night said it wasn't a staffer, and then Trump is on the news saying it was a staffer. So, you absolutely have them on defense on this.
Yeah, but you know what? Overall, if this is where they want to go, then that's fine. Hey, shit.
Did you almost just say...
No, I said shoot.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you, Joan?
I was about to hit the dump button for a second.
My ears aren't clogged, Dan.
The cold is moving to the ear canal.
Yes.
I have sensitive ears.
No, I said shoot because I wanted to go through a little Jasmine Crockett with you, but I know you've probably got the audio.
Governor Hot Wheels.
Yeah.
Can I just say I am so anti-censure. It's not even funny.
Right.
Like what happened when we censored Al Green?
He got more popular.
No, nothing happened.
Yeah,
he
nothing.
fundraised off of it, and we wasted 4.5 hours in Congress.
Do you? So, I had some great audio earlier from I think guy's name is C.J. Pearson.
Yeah, I like CJ.
And yeah, so he totally called her out as racist. What's crazy to me is that I believe that this is the Democrat Party, and they are molding this character as a way to try and get the black support back that they lost to Donald Trump, because the black support has doubled over the past couple of elections for Donald Trump. And so this is their idea to try to get that support back.
The one that I saw online last night was Laverne Spicer. Her X handle is Laverne_Spicer. She's also a black woman. And she had some very, very colorful language to describe Jasmine Crockett and how she is setting back everything for black women.
All right. You got that audio?
It's a thread, and I don't know if I can read it on the air.
Okay.
I'll be perfectly honest with you.
All right, very good. What else you got coming up?
We'll talk about this Atlantic story. We'll dig in on what was released. We'll talk about the reaction and the fallout. Plus, remember when Christians weren't really sure if they wanted to vote for Trump?
Yeah.
Well, he's once again proving to be the most pro-life president that we've ever had. We'll talk about that as well and more after 9.
8:55 on WTN. Dan Mandis here. For me, my backyard is my oasis, and I bet a lot of you folks feel the same way, which is why I am so glad that my friends at Save a Tree came into my life. Save a Tree can help your trees, your bushes, your plants, and your shrubs look amazing. So if they're sick, Save a Tree can nurse them back to health. And if they don't look right, Save a Tree can make them look incredible with proper pruning. Now, Save a Tree came over to my house. I told them my issues with my plants and my trees and my shrubs, and they gave me some great suggestions on how to fix my crepe myrtles and my shrubs as well. They are actual arborists who can do wonders for your back or your front yard. They can make your lawn look amazing and weed-free. They can treat yellow leaves and diseased shrubs as well, and they can help you bring those trees back to life. See how beautiful your yard can be. Set up your own evaluation at saveatree.com, SAVATREE, saveatree.com. You can also find them. Simply dial pound 250 on your smart device. That's pound 250 on your smart device and say the word Save a Tree, and you can get right through to them. Again, pound 250, keyword Save a Tree.